The following is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Southwest.
I'm never gonna look back. No, I'm never gonna give it up. Whoa, please don't wake me now.
Losers make excuses and winners hold the trophy over their head, gentlemen. And we're going to be holding the trophy over our head when this one's all said and done.
You're getting ready to go play in a great game.
That's one team, one heartbeat.
Understand what we're asking of you. Everything you've got.
And let's live it tonight.
Every single second, every single play, every single down.
Proud of you guys. I love you guys. Enjoy the moment. Have fun. Let's go to work.
All in. 1, 2, 3. Go.
Who ain't hype right now, man? Give them nothing, but from them, take everything.
This is gonna be the best day of my life.
1, 2, 3, 2.
You play for one another.
This is gonna be the best day of my life.
The holiday season often brings young and old together to celebrate. The same goes for the Texas High School Football State Championships. The veterans of championship play, the Carthage Bulldogs, are in search of their 6th state title in 10 years, while the new kids on the block, the Kennedale Wildcats, make their first appearance in the championship game. Will it be the veteran beasts from the east or the fresh faces from just down the road? We're all about to find out. And we welcome you to AT&T Stadium in Arlington. Fox Sports Southwest, pleased to bring you the 4A Division I State Football Championship of Texas, Carthage and Kennedale. I'm Craig Way, joined by the coach, Brad McCoy. You've coached in 2 of these state championship games, so you must have a feel for what they're feeling right about now.
Well, the anticipation is huge, and I can tell you the first time we came, there was such a great feeling, but it doesn't go away. The second time, the third time, it's all there. They're emotional right now, whether they've been here once or 4 times.
Well, Carthage has been there, and they know all about the state championships. They won 3 in a row, did the Bulldogs, from 2008 through 2010.
They really did. You know, what a great run that they've had in starting with 2008, and that builds for momentum from this game today. They've been here a while. Their kids know it. Some of these kids were in elementary school the first time they started seeing these kids play, and they've seen it over and over, and they've dreamed about being in their class, in their time, and so it's really made a tradition.
A big reason why they're the defending state champs of 4A Division I is their all-everything running back, Keontae Ingram.
And what a great player this kid is. And Keontae does it all for him. You know, over 2,100 yards rushing. He's going to carry the load for him today and probably do some things on the defensive side, too. He's a Texas commit, but I guarantee all of his focus right now is on this ball game.
Yeah, and it's a guy who's made big play after big play all season long.
Yeah, he's one of those guys you don't want to let him get loose. Like the old saying goes, you can't catch him in a phone booth.
Well, if there's one 2,000-yard running back who's pretty good, how about 2 for Kennedale?
Unbelievable. The 3rd-ranked rushing team in the nation. Over 2,000 yards, over 4,400 yards for these 2 kids. You're going to see a classic, old-school running game matchup today, Craig.
Jaden Knowles and Deshaun Curvin. Nate Newton, the former Dallas Cowboy, told me once, I love to see good running game. Nate would love this matchup. It is Kennedale and Carthage for a Division I State Football Championship of Texas. The 2 teams vying for that iconic state championship trophy, and the kickoff is coming up on Fox Sports Southwest.
The 2017 UIL High School Football Championships are brought to you by Ford. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas. By Dairy Queen. For the burgers, baskets, blizzards, and Tex-Mex we love, it's DQ. By Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, proud official sponsor of the UIL. By Baylor Scott & White Health. Find Dr. Wright right now. Visit bswhealth.com/doc. And by Main Event. Head for fun. Main Event Entertainment. Eat, bowl, play.
Execute. We've got to execute. Doesn't matter what phase of the game we're talking about. We've got to execute. Do your thing. Carry out fakes. Stay on blocks. Run hard. Through the whistle. Read your keys. Stay on that receiver. Stay on that running back. Whatever the case may be. Execute. Do your job. The best of your ability. everything will take care of itself. Okay? Amongst all that, there's still something else. Have fun when you're doing it. You can do that. Have fun when you're doing it. Okay? Play with passion. Play with passion. Okay? Do it like the Wildcats do it. You with me?
Yes, sir. I'm Randy McElmore on the sidelines. Richard Barrett giving his charge to the Kennedale Wildcats to get ready for the state title game. For Carthage now, and their head coach, Scott Surratt, this is old hat, 5 state titles, going for a 6th here today. Spoke with him before the game. He says, listen, we've got to win the turnover battle. We did not do that last week in the victory over La Vega. That needs to change. I asked him about defending the wing tee. He says, I need my 3 senior linebackers to really step up, and I need my defensive line to be alert. They need to hold up and make some stops today. Correct?
All right, thanks very much, Randy. We're ready to go with Kevin Tierra to kick it off. As you look at Richard Barrett, the head coach of those Kennedale Wildcats. Just heard him firing up his guys in the locker room. Yeah, those are fun times for coaches. That pregame speech, and you just pray that you're giving a good one at the end of the game as well. Back deep to receive it for Carthage. Tucker Smith and Rayvon Ingram. Tucker Smith back deep for the Bulldogs. And Tierra ready to kick it off for Kennedale. Their first ever appearance in the state championship round. We're happy you joined us. Game 1 of 3 on state championship Friday here in Arlington. That kick is going to be picked up right by the sideline by Smith. And Kennedale on it. So Carthage will start a little deeper in their end of the field. Look at that Carthage offense, and their junior quarterback Gunnar Capps is a guy who can throw the ball. They're not just a running team. They're really not. And people don't see that about Carthage as much. They see the power and they see Kenyatte and what he runs, but they've got the ability to throw very good possession routes. The first game, the first play will come from the 15-yard line. Immediately, Capps looking over the sideline. Ingram in the backfield with the quarterback as he looks over the defense to shout out the instruction to his team. And looks to throw. First play of the ball game, but Kennedale's there on it. Defensively, the Wildcats bring it. Jamal Marshall, a sophomore, and Mayfield Hayes, a senior, make the stop. We've been talking about the offenses all day, but I'm telling you, this is one of those classic games. The old saying that offense wins games and defense wins championships. That's really what we're going to have today, is which defense is going to rise up. Yeah, Mayfield Hayes ready to go. So too is Coach Barrett. It's a loss of 5, and it's 2nd and 15 back at the 10-yard line. And swinging out quickly, Makai Colbert upfield. He'll pick up around 10 yards. It'll bring up a makeable 3rd down situation. It'll bring up 3rd down and 5 as we bring you today's forward impact players. They really are. And, we've talked a lot about the offense. We're going to talk about a couple of kids. Hector Rivera, 448 tackles. Larry Brooks with 154. 302 tackles between them and 7 sacks. They're going to be impact players at safety and linebacker today for the Kennedale Wildcats. Being put to the test right now on 3rd down and 5. Again to the air, the catch and a 1st down as DeWaylen Ingram comes up with the grab, and that's a pickup of 7 yards. So picked themselves up off the deck, do the Bulldogs, Brad, after that 1st down loss of 5 on the sack. Yeah, very accurate throw right there. Here we talked about the running game, and their first 2 big plays have been in the air. Of course, the first one was just a wide sweep. They're going to throw the ball out there on that little screen for their wide sweep version. So here they are lined up. Look how deep that we've got his back lined up here. Yeah, Keontae Ingram well back behind the quarterback Gunnar Capps on this 1st down play. And it'll be his first carry. Keontae Ingram forced out of bounds. Sent out by Devin Mason, the senior cornerback. They pick up a 4, and it's 2nd down. What that tells you, Craig, is, when coaches back a kid like Keontae up like that, 7 yards, it tells you he's got great vision. They want him to get the ball in his hands about 4 to 5 yards deep in the backfield. He's got great speed. He's got great talent, but he's got the vision now to see where he wants to go. So it's 2nd down. It's a long 5 needed for the 1st. Caps will look to throw again. Pressure coming. Did a good job to step up, but couldn't connect. It's incomplete. It brings up third down. Brings us to our Baylor Scott and White Health game diagnosis, Brad. Going into this one, some of the key things to watch.
Again, you come back to defense. They've got great offenses. Which team is going to rise up? Which defense is going to rise up? Because as we know the saying, defense wins championships. So today it's going to be the defensive side of the ball that rises up to stop the other potent offense.
Third down and 5 needed for the first. Carthage to spread the field to go empty.
And you can look at Kennedale here, Craig. They're in that 10-1 look. I mean, they're man-to-man all over the field. They backed up a little bit, but nobody's free here.
Quickly over the middle, Caps the catch, and enough for the first down to Waylon Ingram, the extension of the football, enough to move the chains.
It really was. You know, you saw them line up in a bump and run early, and then Kennedale kind of backed off, which allowed them to get that early possession route for that 4-yard first down.
So back-to-back first downs on the opening drive for Carthage. The defending state champions out to the 38-yard line. Line up in the backs offset. But the little jet sweep around the corner to D. Bowens is anything but little. Turns the corner downfield. That's a good first down pickup. Larry Brooks, the safety, coming over for tackle number 155 of the season with a gain of 8 yards.
Yeah, Larry's one of those kids we talked about in the pregame. He's a safety, but he's going to make a lot of tackles at the line of scrimmage as well.
How about the speed of D. Bowens getting the corner turn?
You know, we've seen about 7 different formations from Carthage in this opening drive.
Second down and 2. Keontae Ingram back in the backfield.
It's like Caps is checking out, audible into something.
Flag goes down, so too does Ingram. And the tackle made by Brooks. But the flag down. You see Greg Maxwell from this Greater Houston chapter, one of the finest high school football officials anywhere. He and his Greater Houston area chapter, tremendously skilled and rewarded almost annually. You see him here at the state championship games.
Number 10 on the defense. 5-yard penalty. Resulting in a first down.
Carthage is going to challenge you. They've got 4 to 5, sometimes 6 men on the line of scrimmage, and they are crowding that ball. So they're going to try to keep any kind of steamroll from Keontae before he gets going. Going to get another one there, it looks like.
Toss out to Keontae Ingram. He'll spin down, and it looked like Kennedale might have had somebody jump off, but no flag thrown, and right at about the line of scrimmage.
We'll call that great anticipation by that defensive end.
Yeah, there you go. Tackle was made by Jalen Myers, and no gain on the play.
You know, they're doing a great job on Keontae right now. They know they have to continue that because he's such a big play presenter.
Gain and pick up about a half yard on that for Keontae Ingram. The down marker right at the first part of the chain, but just ahead of it. And now swinging a pass upfield, and this one going to McCall Colbert. Colbert down the sidelines, and he'll have big yardage and a first down as he takes it all the way down inside the 20 to the 15-yard line, a pickup of 33 yards.
What a great block by little brother Dwaylen Ingram. Out there on the side, he sprung it. He was probably going to get about a 3-yard loss. A great block right there, and then obviously just a great talenting run out there. But Ingram made a great block out here to spring him for about 20 yards.
So with the football now with the 15-yard line, this opening drive for Carthage has seen a little bit of everything. Runs, passes, jet sweep, penalties, and conversions, and now a timeout.
Timeout. Carthage.
And don't forget formations.
Timeout of the half.
Yeah. And Coach Barrett not happy with some of what he's seeing going on, but it is Carthage that calls the timeout here with 7:28 to go in the first quarter. Opening drive of the 4A Division I state championship here at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. And trying to get the guys just settled down a little bit and, settled into their game. And certainly Coach Barrett tried to do the same.
He's trying to settle down a little bit. Somebody's going to have to grab his collar here in a minute. It's tough. You've never been here. You want your kids to play well and start well. You know if you get behind a good Carthage team, it's going to be tough to come back. But what Carthage is doing right now is really testing the water. They've given us 7 different formations. Kennedale's trying to play man-to-man. When they're motion out, they're trying to get out some one high safety stuff, with 1 free to really watch Keontae. So they're trying to just feel out where they're going to be able to run. And so they've gotten blocked a couple of times. I think that's what Coach Barrett is upset about. But it's kind of a chess match right now here in this first drive.
So out of the timeout, it is first down. Carthage's road to the state championships pretty smooth all the way to that semifinal shootout with La Vega. A throw for the end zone and incomplete. Waylon Ingram unable to come up with it, but you saw that road to the state championship game for Carthage, and they wound up, and we all knew, those of us who follow the game knew that La Vega would give them everything they wanted, and it was quite the battle in that semifinal. Otherwise, pretty much a cruise through.
Yeah, it was. Of course, you know how well they're going to play at La Vega. So anyway, they know Carthage has been through some good football teams in East Texas every year to get here.
And that's why you heard Randy McElroy tell us before the game, the Scots are got to win the turnover battle. And this is Colbert taking the shot out of the shotgun snap out of the Wildcat. He'll go down after a gain of only a yard to the 14. So they lined up in that Wildcat set. Hayes and Myers on the tackle for Kennedale.
Yeah, Hayes did a great job falling back in on that tackle from his defensive end, and saw the Wildcat. I'm sure they've been coached to see that as well. A very big run scheme, and most of it's an inside run scheme from what we see. So Hayes did a great job with recognition. That's some great film study, because you saw him slide down a little to protect us inside.
On third down here on this opening drive, Carthage has already converted twice. We'll see if they do it a third time on 3rd and 9. Caps back in, blitz coming over the middle, and the touchdown to Waylon Ingram. Gunnar Capps took a pop right as he released the football, but he connected with Ingram, and Carthage scores on its opening drive.
Great catch by Ingram. A little ball's behind him, but Capps, he's got a free rusher right there. He knows he stands in there, he's going to get hit. He puts it in a place where his receiver had to make a great catch, but it's in the area where he can make the catch. So what a great play by Capps and Ingram.
Coach Surratt has to like the opening march for his team, converting 3 third downs on the drive. Alberto Segala, the junior, attempting his 86th point after try and is able to coach that one through. So Carthage, an opening 85-yard, 12-play drive, taking the first 5:25 off the clock, and Ingram puts the Bulldogs ahead.
Back live at AT&T Stadium, Carthage leading 7-0 over Kennedale. Pleasure to be joined on the sideline. We're going to hear the Ingram name quite a bit from Craigway upstairs, because there's 5 of them at least on this football team. We're with Nicky Ingram now. You've got 2 sons, Keontae, Kelvontae. There's also 3 cousins on this team.
Yes, sir.
And you're a nervous wreck right now. You're telling me this is a title game, the pressure. What's it mean to see your sons play?
It's very exciting to see both of them play. I know right now I'm very nervous, so I just want them to play hard. Just go forward and play hard.
Is it hard to keep up with your 2 sons and the cousins, make sure everybody's making big plays? You just saw DeWaylen make a big one.
Yes, it really is hard, but then again, it's not, because they're all pretty much on the field at the same time, and I'm just hollering go for every one of them.
Well, enjoy the rest of the game. Nicky Ingram, a proud mom here today watching the state championship game, correct?
All right, Randy, thanks. Hey, cousins, brothers, it's all in the Carthage family, and they have the early 7-0 lead. A pop-up kick. There was no fair catch made, and Hector Rivera fielded it and was immediately wrapped up and dropped to the turf by Cole Whitlock, the sophomore. So Kennedale goes to work on offense for the first time, and that means junior quarterback Evan Jowers.
What a great competitor. He's completed over 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. He's rushed. His legs are strong. He's rushed for over 600, almost 700 yards. So he's gonna be the guy that kind of keeps it in motion. This is a power rushing game attack, but he's the one that's going to make it work.
So from the 36, the 2 2,000-yard backs are in the backfield, and the first carry goes to Jaden Knowles, but only able to pick up like 1 yard as the Bulldog defense was ready. The Bulldog defense was ready to go for this, which brings us to our Ford Impact players.
Again, we're going to kind of stay with it. We know what kind of defense they have, offense they have, but we're going to kind of stay with this defensive side. Ahmad Brown and Michael Gates, they're both going to come into huge plays. This is their linebacker tandem today. When you see them on the other side of the ball, they are going to have to really hang in there and key off of Mikel today.
All 3 of their linebackers have at least 135 tackles. Second down. And a little bit of running room and a nice job by Jowers to turn it upfield before Ahmad Brown wrapped him up at the 41-yard line.
You know, that's going to be what you hear it said a lot, a run-pass option, and it's truly a run-pass. It's not a pass-run. He's run first on that, and Jowers looks like he's a little bit shook up.
As you mentioned, you look to run on that if it's available. Do that first and then throw if you have to.
Yeah, with a wing T power team like they have here, that's what they really want to do first.
Jowers looking to the side, and they'll line up in the eye. And movement in the line, both sides pointing at one another.
That one may be hard to call.
Well, that's why I say Greg Maxwell's crew usually right on top of things.
Prior to the snap, offsides, 44 on the defense. 5-yard penalty.
All right, let's send it right back downstairs to Randy McElroy. Randy?
Yeah, we saw a little bit of this yesterday, guys, in some of the ball games, the false start penalties. I was talking with the folks from Brock and Rockdale yesterday. It's like, are the acoustics in here a factor? They said not really. It was snap simulation early, and then, frankly, we were just amped up, and a lot of guys fired up. I think we're seeing a little bit of that today here.
Well, Brad, you've coached teams in this game, as I mentioned,
right.
So you got to get all that, the heart rate and all that stuff under control early, don't you?
You do, because the emotions are there, but that ought to be settling down about now mid-first quarter.
5 yards on the offside results in a first down, and this time it's Deshaun Curvin trying to burrow through and find something. 1 yard was all he was able to do because Michael Gates and Montario Wilson were there on the tackle. There's Wilson, the senior.
Okay, you're going to see a lot of crowd the line of scrimmage. You know, Kennedale does not really want to throw the ball. I mean, they're a run-first offense, and Carthage knows that. So I think eventually you're going to have to see a little more play action out of them today to have some success to loosen this Carthage defense up.
Knowles lines up offset but closest to the quarterback, and trying to keep it is Jowers, and he'll go down. Ahmad Brown. Loss of the yard they picked up on first down, and now back to 3rd and 10.
There's that great linebacker duo of Brown. You saw Gates fill the hole, take the lead blocker, which left a free run to Brown to the tackle. So those two kids work really well together, and you can tell their instincts are really strong.
So it's 3rd down and 10 for Kennedale.
This is a down and distance that Kennedale really doesn't want to get caught in. Now we'll see what they come up with. So, but they want to stay ahead of the chains. If this happens all day, they know it's going to be a long day.
It's David Roper, their leading receiver, in motion, and Jowers is able to pick up a block to throw it, and that catch is out of bounds. And he was going for David Roper, the second, their senior receiver, and unable to keep it down inbounds.
Roper made a great catch, just didn't get it all in bounds there. Well, that's close. That's close. That's really a great catch. Again, just a little unfamiliarity there.
Well, and a little bobble of the ball there would also give the hint of not having it completely in control. And we've all heard all the conversations about what is a catch and what is not.
Yeah, a catch in high school and college is something. A catch in the NFL is something different. Also, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Tiero to punt it here, and Colbert fielding it, dancing from some tackles, and brings it up to the 24-yard line. A 39-yard punch, a 9-yard return. And our opportunity to check in with Aaron Hardigan with a message from our friends at Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, who proudly support Texas high school football.
I'm here with Mike Garrick, Executive Vice President of Texas Farm Bureau Insurance. Mike, tell us why you decided to sponsor the UIL.
Absolutely, Aaron. It was really an easy decision for us to sponsor the UIL. The core values of UIL and Texas Farm Bureau Insurance are very similar: hard work and fair play. Many of our policyholders, kids, friends, and neighbors participate in the UIL activities, as well as our employees here at Texas Farm Bureau Insurance Company. So it made perfect sense to help in the effort for Texas students to realize their full potential.
You mentioned values. What else makes this sponsorship so great?
Well, being based in Waco since 1952, we've focused all our energy on servicing Texans, and we will always be a family-first organization. But we really pride ourselves on the personal relationship we have with our policyholders, and that's more than just protecting their homes and their autos. It's about knowing their personal interests, what they care about most, protecting the ones they love, and securing their future. And we know that UIL cares about that as well.
How can viewers find out more about Texas Farm Bureau Insurance?
They can follow us on Facebook, follow us online, txfb-ins.com, or call us anytime at 877-FARM-BUREAU.
All right, thanks very much. Scott Surratt has done an absolutely marvelous job at Carthage, and people who follow high school football, well, they know where Carthage, Texas is. For those who may be a little unfamiliar, go east, far northeast Texas, there in Panola County, 177 miles away. Yes, 7 appearances in the state championship round, and they've won 5 state titles. And the immortal Tex Ritter, the singing cowboy there from Carthage, Texas.
And some people might wonder, well, why has Scott stayed in Carthage? You know, a 3A, 4A school. You could have gone someplace bigger. Well, I want to tell you, when you've got a program like this, doing the things that they're doing, and the Carthage administration is taking care of Scott to make sure he stays there. So, you know, why would you want to leave?
There you go, and especially when you got a running back like Keontae Ingram. We had a good first down carry as he picked up 4 yards.
And I don't know if anybody knows this, but in talking to Nikki Ingram yesterday, you know, there's a couple of young Ingrams coming up in junior high, too, that are pretty special. And Coach Surratt used that word, said they're special. That means something, I think.
2nd down and 6. Back it goes to Ingram. This time, Kennedale's defense ready. Hector Rivera knocking Keontae Ingram off the pins. A loss of 5 on the play.
Hector does a great job. Shows Mayfield Hayes at defensive end. You know, that slid down, stopped the Wildcat a while ago. Was able to get outside and make that bounce back to Hector. So defense is playing really well, like we talked about. Who's going to rise up right now? Kennedale's really rising up on this drive.
So 3rd down and 11 for Carthage. An opportunity for Kennedale to get that defense off the field after the opening 15-play, 85-yard drive for the touchdown.
Kennedale's getting a little different look here with 2 high safeties.
Caps outside, caught. Defender fell down, and Dwaylon Ingram turns that into a 1st down as he reaches the 37-yard line, and a move of the chains, a 1st down.
And Dwaylon makes a great move here. There wasn't contact. There was just a great move. Double move to cause the defender to fall. And then he looks up, and there's nobody to keep him from running. He steps out of bounds. He's kind of upset with himself, going, oh, my, I had 5 more yards.
12-yard pickup to the 36. And 1st down and 10 for Carthage. And Caps wants to go deep. Looking downfield for Bowens. And can't connect this time. But we're seeing vertical speed on the part of the Bulldog receivers.
Yeah, they've got great speed. Caps just hadn't quite figured out what this is. It's different playing inside. I mean, there's not a breath of air in here, Craig. There's no wind. There's nothing that affects a ball. So, you know, kids have been used to playing outside in the wind, throwing that ball a different way, and there's nothing here. So you may see some overthrows initially till we kind of get used to it.
No opportunity to go through a day before walkthrough because there's games going on here. This is day 2 of triple headers. This is day 3, and there's one more day of triple headers coming up tomorrow. On 2nd and 10, the deep drop setting up the screen. Oh my goodness, that off the hands of Ricardo Pena as Caps was either trying to swing it outside or throw it near the feet of a running back receiver. And
they had a little tunnel screen set. Craig, they're fixing to come back inside, and Rivera Pena's just kind of smelled it out and figured it out. He was fixing to be the hero right there. I'll bet you that they haven't thrown him many balls in his career. What do you bet?
Oh, yeah, right there. Looked like a volleyball push away there.
Right place, right time. Another big 3rd down. Man, Carthage has been in 3rd and 10. I think this is their 4th time.
3rd downs is where they've been outstanding. So far, they're a perfect 4 for 4. Converted 3 on the opening touchdown drive, then converted a few moments ago on 3rd and 11. Now 3rd and 10. Deep downfield for Colbert, who's open. He'll finish the job. 64 yards. And Carthage strikes again.
Just isolated Colbert out here. They had twins on the right side, and their safeties kind of drifted to the left side of the field, and they isolated Colbert out here by himself. Again, he's got great speed. We look at the protection. You go back and look at that's what makes this go. That line had a perfect cup protection for the quarterback. Does a great job. Easy throw, easy catch. One-on-one coverage out there with a guy with great speed.
One thing you can say about Carthage, they have been on the spot on third down here early. And just perfect in the third down department. Extra point kick is good. And Kennedale has a few things to figure out. Among those, getting defenders in place on the speed of the outside receivers. It's Colbert in this case taking it in. And the other thing, Brad, that certainly Richard Barrett's going to try to figure out is what to do on third downs where Carthage is a perfect 5 for 5 here in the first quarter.
I think they need to give them a couple yards on first and second down, so it's just 3rd and 3. Maybe it might look differently. No, but they've gotten in that situation. But Carthage, Kennedale is trying to play some man with 2 cover over the top. They're really sliding to the 2 and 3 receiver side, which is really given single coverage on the backside, and that's what they picked on now. They've thrown it twice, overthrew once. Like I said, he kind of got, okay, what I need to do now, then he's right on the next time. But I think Coach Barrett's going to have to figure out how to really get those safeties over both tops instead of one side.
Well, it's safe to say that even though they face some talented teams this year, this is clearly the best team that Kennedale has faced. And not only that, it is a team, their only loss, by the way, is to the number 2 team in the state, the 2-time defending state champs of 4A Division 2, West Orange Stark, on a neutral field in Nacogdoches. That was a game that was a 23-20 ball game, so that was an airtight game. That's been the only loss this season for the Wildcats, but some work to do here, and that is fielded and out of bounds at the 26-yard line by Devin Mason. Well, we talked about Kennedale trying to stop the run. Carthage has been able to do just that.
They really have. They're crowding the line of scrimmage. They're daring Kennedale to throw the football, and right now they haven't really chose to do that yet. So again, those 2 linebackers of Brown and Gates, they are really good players. The defensive line is designed to cover up for those guys. They're going to take the blockers out, and they're going to give free runs to Gates and Brown. They're going to make a lot of tackles today.
This is actually a penalty against Carthage because the kickoff was fielded by Mason out of bounds.
Right.
Therefore, it's against the Bulldogs for a kickoff out of bounds.
Out of bounds when he received the ball. Therefore, we have a kick out of bounds. Kennedale is elected to take the ball 5 yards from the out of bounds spot. First down.
Greg Maxwell with the explanation, so it'll start at the 31-yard line.
You know, you had a situation yesterday, Craig, when Brock went up 21-0 in a ball game and then had about 35 unanswered. So we may see the same thing. Kennedale's just got to settle down. They're down 14-0. Settle down, get a good drive.
Jaden Knowles in the backfield. It's Knowles who gets the call. And again, Carthage lining up, loading up to stop the run. And they stuff Knowles for no gain. Michael Gates, the first to hit him.
Again, if you just watch, if you can focus on the down lineman, the defensive lineman from Carthage, they're taking out all the blockers, and they're giving a free run to their linebackers, and they're flowing really well down the line of scrimmage. So the design of this defense is to do that. Take it away, leave your free runners that can really play running free, and right now it's working. Kennedale's got to spread out a little bit. They've got to get something outside of the boundaries, get a possession route. They've got to get something to give them a little life. No backs in the backfield.
Yeah, they'll spread it out this time, sending Knowles in motion. And the pass too high, intended for the tight end, Nathan Otts, incomplete. And it brings up 3rd down and 10.
Right now, when you look at Jowers, I haven't seen them play a lot, but every pass they've had, Craig, has been a sprint out, a roll out. They're moving the pocket. They may be afraid of the linebacker rush, but they're not getting anything. If you can watch the middle of the field on that, there's no one. There's no one from the line of scrimmage to the 15 in the middle of the field. They've got to find something, get in the middle of the field, get in a drop back to make those linebackers get in a drop as opposed to rushing.
Knowles and Curvin in the backfield. Now, rolling of the option. Jowers, first down. Nice job by Jowers keeping it on that option and goes 14 yards for the first down. The first down. Yeah, it's really the first deception we've seen. Really driving in and Jowers taking the ball out. Safety overruns it, but what a great play. They've been really relying on those two running backs this whole night, and it's the first time Jowers has pulled the ball. So good results. They'll sprint for the line of scrimmage for first down at 46. Now a toss for the backfield, and here goes Curvin. The old smash play. When you look at that, fill that backfield up, it's a toss sweep to an I-back back there with the quarterback leading. So Jowers takes on the block right there. Gets a great occupying block on number 25 and a 9-yard pickup. Now they got something rolling. On second down and a little more rhythm and tempo for the offense after converting their first third down here in the first quarter, and that's going to be the final play of the first quarter. So Carthage with a couple of strikes, certainly the big one to make it 14-0. Kennedale, however, starting to get its offense in gear as they fight for that 4A Division I state championship trophy. Carthage up 14-0. We welcome you back to AT&T Stadium in Arlington. Craig Way, Brad McCoy, Randy McElvoy, and our Fox Sports Southwest crew with you. 4A Division I state championship game. The defending state titleist from Carthage out to a 14-0 lead. The numbers reflect it, although Kennedale starting to get its offense in a little bit of rhythm on this march. They are. They're marching well. Of course, the big number that jumps out at me for two running teams is Carthage has 154 yards passing and Kennedale has 0. So that may come back into play. Second down and 2 after that 8-yard first down carry. Knowles this time close to but shy of the first down marker. But Jaden will pick up a yard, and the stop made by Quentin Owens, bringing up third down and 1 for the Wildcats. That was great pursuit by Owens from the backside defensive end. I mean, he comes all the way down the line. You had a really pretty good play. Had about 6 or 7 yards running room there. But great pursuit. Love to see kids like that playing hard. We hadn't called his name. He's not on our players to watch, but he's a kid that's in the state championship that's going to play hard. Knowles in the backfield. Motion here, and the handoff. Knowles on first down and breaking through. A step out of bounds, but Jaden Knowles on 3rd and 1 rumbles for 22 yards. You know, it's kind of like I know Coach Barrett says keep feeding it, it's going to eventually happen. When you got two backs like that, you do. But they finally got in a 3rd and short. Had a lot of field to defend, and once he broke that first linebacker's tackle, did a great job right here. Made one guy miss. So they've got some momentum now. That quick sprint to the line of scrimmage. Now it's Deshaun Curvin turning the corner, but only able to pick up a yard. Curvin, who came in just shy of 2,200 yards, whereas Jaden Knowles was at 2,200 yards. Great job by Jose DeJulian, number 27. I guess it's DeJulian. I hope I'm doing his name right. Came in from that backside linebacker. That's that old smash play where you got 3 lead blockers for that running back. He was unaccounted for far from the outside linebacker. Second down and 9. Knowles slipped a little, came back in, and a flag thrown by the umpire. Probably going to be a hold in there, Craig. It's the first time they've tried to run a little trap scenario there. They blocked center tackle, guard blocked down to the left side. Tried to pull their tackle out at the top. I'm sure when you just got a little leverage, got an arm around it, got a hold.
Holding, number 90 on the offense. 10 yards from the previous spot. Repeat second down.
Again, he's come down on that linebacker, just gets his arm around there on the outside, wrapped up. Tackle number 54 didn't quite get out to where he needed to be, but that's one of those that gets out in that linebacker space. It's easy to see. It's an easy call. So that makes it second down and 19. Not a good situation for the Kennedale Wildcats. They do not like this down and distance. Before they get going, yet another flag goes, and this is going to cost the Wildcats 5 more. just as we had talked about all the momentum, we're going to get 2 penalties. That's going to push us back 20 yards.
I think we just saw Richard Barrett say what number. He wanted to know which of his young men moved too quickly.
Snap. False start. Number 28 on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
And that's the motion man, Deshaun Curvin, who cut upfield a little too quickly. Knowles was the man in the backfield.
If Kennedale's got any kind of a screen game here, I would expect they're fixing to pull it out of their pocket.
Because all of a sudden it is second down at 24. And Jowers going deep for the tight end, looking downfield. How about the catch made instead by David Roper? Take your choice. It's a Kennedale touchdown, a 37-yard pass.
You know, you look at that and say, wow, did it work that way, or does it was right? Usually you don't want 2 receivers in the same place because that means you got 2 of the defenders there as well. But with the big body of the tight end there clearing out, it's almost like it's made that way.
I thought it was intended for Nathan Otts, the tight end. Whether it was or not, David Roper was there to haul it in.
There you go. It's almost like you had an old pick. You had the pick play working, but it's 40 yards downfield.
The extra point, Kevin Tierro, the left footer, drops it right through. Kennedale on the board now. The Wildcats strike back. A 37-yard touchdown pass from Jowers to Roper.
As great teams compete to be number 1, nothing makes us feel more alive than witnessing that amazing moment.
Take it back for the touchdown.
And cheering as one.
Still on his feet, surging for the end zone, and he scores.
In Texas, we have sports everywhere. So turn the game on and join the fun. Take your home teams wherever you go with Fox Sports Southwest and Fox Sports Go.
The 2017 UIL High School Football Championships are brought to you by Ford. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas. By Dairy Queen. For the burgers, baskets, blizzards, and Tex-Mex we love, it's DQ. By Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, proud official sponsor of the UIL. By Baylor Scott & White Health. Find Dr. Wright right now. Visit bswhealth.com/doc. And by Main Event. Head for fun. Main Event Entertainment. Eat, bowl, play.
Scott Surratt's team jumped out to the quick 14-0 lead, but Kennedale has come back on the 37-yard touchdown pass from that young man, Evan Jowers, to David Roper the second. Kennedale on the board here early second quarter in a 14-7 lead. Brad McCoy, you mentioned Rockdale's come from behind, went down 21-0 early second quarter to Brock, scored 45 unanswered, and then ended up winning 45-29. Even on the first day on Wednesday night, it was March falling back 14-0 to Refugio before rallying back. So maybe comebacks the order and the theme of this state championship run.
It may be.
Carthage, however, chooses to think otherwise, and they'll start from their own 25 after this touchback.
And, you know, it goes a long way when you're talking about a venue like this. Even if you haven't been in a state championship, or you have, to be in this building for the first time, you know, some kids are just going to handle that better than others. The maturity level, and some coaches are going to handle it better than others as far as how that looks. So, you know, you just don't ever know how games are going to start in a venue like this. There's a lot of difference. You know, we saw yesterday several delay of game penalties. And one of the things I know, because I've had kids play in this building, that the 25-second clocks are sometimes hard to find. So it's just a whole different way of playing when you get in a building like this.
At the 25, following the touchback, Deontay Ingram is the running back offset to the right of the quarterback, Gunnar Capps. And still motioning out time, and the play clock is under 5, so it speaks to your point, Brad. And in fact, they just do get the play off in time, and Capps is going deep on first down. That is caught by D. Bowens. 39 yards, and whether there was a problem or not, it all worked out.
Yeah, couldn't have been a better thrown ball. Man, and you know, Cade Stevenson defensively was in a great position. He was right on his shoulder. He just has to look back. You know, he's right there. If he looks back for the ball, it may be a pick because it's right over his shoulder. So Brooks got there, but not quite in time.
How about Gunnar Capps cool in the pocket there, starting with the play clock down to 1, flipping to 0 when the ball was snapped.
Yeah, he's done a really good job, but he put the ball on the ground that time.
Yep, ball loose. However, he's able to get back on it. Fumble recovery by the quarterback, Gunnar Capps. Loss on the play of a couple, and it's 2nd down and 12 coming up.
That's just a tough play. He's going to look outside and then come back to his backside. And that timing of where your back is going to be is really important. So that's just a big timing play. He was lucky to get back on that. It looked like Carthage, Kennedale was on the ball first.
Keontae Ingram was scooting through the hole when the exchange misfired. And that's Ingram lining up deep in the backfield behind Capps to take the snap from under center.
It's like another audible here. He's checking out.
We'll go back to Ingram. Keontae Ingram, good run on 2nd down, a gain of 8. Larry Brooks, the tackle for Kennedale.
You know, he kind of showed, we know he's got speed. We know he can outrun you if he gets out there, but he showed a little power there. He carried a couple of guys with him that way. Ramirez was on him, and Brown was there at the same time, but great power from that running game at that point. Here he is again. Now we got 3rd and 4. Let's see what this looks like, Craig.
With 2 receivers up top and a slot man. But it's Keontae Ingram, and he's knocked down. What an open field play made by Hector Rivera. A loss of 2. Rivera, mano a mano, knocking down Keontae Ingram.
What a great play. Rivera was one of our keys to the game when we started in impact players. Again, he's unblocked. He's got a free run, but even with a great move, he still has the presence of mind to break down, get enough on the ball carrier to take him down. What a great defensive play that was.
And he may be called upon to have to try to do it again because this is 4-down territory for Carthage. The ball in that no man's land of the 32-yard line of Kennedale. So 4th and 6 for the Bulldogs, who choose to go for it. And Capps will look to throw. Out to the side, and the catch made by D. Bowens.
I'm impressed with the Carthage passing game. Both times on big plays, they're double moves. They're not just one move. If you run this back, you can see this great move inside, freezes the defense, gets him back off his feet. They didn't fall down that time, but what a great move. You can see this move on the left side of your screen. See just that one move, lean the defense.
So the one-time Carthage has not converted a 3rd down. They come back and convert 4th down, and then Ingram will do the rest. Keontae Ingram on the scoreboard in this state championship game. A 20-yard touchdown run.
A little bit of a misdirection. Keontae cuts back inside. Once he gets a linebacker depth untouched, it's over. There's not anybody going to catch him. You can see his defensive scheme-wise. You saw Rivera leaving, so they were making a little shift in motion. They were taking Rivera out. They were probably dropping the defensive end in. So Rivera took himself right out of the play, and it was great vision from Keontae to get back inside.
Sigala for the extra point. And just like that, Carthage back up 2 scores. 21-7 the Bulldogs after the 20-yard touchdown run by Keontae Ingram. Now let's send it to John Radigan with a message from our friends at Dairy Queen, who proudly support Texas high school football.
Hi, we're here with Jordan Giles representing DQ of Texas. Dairy Queen's been such a great partner of ours for 15 years now, Jordan. We've had the DQ Big Game of the Week. It's special.
Absolutely, and there's 2 pieces I'd like to talk to you about as far as the DQ Big Game of the Week. Number 1 is the excitement. When those players and coaches see their name on that DQ Big Game of the Week schedule, they get so excited, and so do the Dairy Queen owners for that matter. And so it's just a big, awesome time for the town. Big celebration. Starts at the Dairy Queen, ends on Friday night with the DQ Big Game of the Week.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, of course, this weekend is a celebration, too, in many ways, because all these teams are trying to get to championship weekend. You guys have been a part of our coverage of that every year, too.
Yes, sir. Every Friday night, as you know, is big in the state of Texas. But it all culminates into that state championship game, and what a celebration of a fantastic journey for each of those two teams.
It's a celebration of football, and we're awfully glad to have Dairy Queen as one of our partners. Now let's get back to football.
John, thank you. It's 21-7 Carthage, and Keontae Ingram had the touchdown run, and Brad, they're starting to get their running game now, the vaunted running game led by that young man in gear.
Yeah, they've relied on Keontae all year long, and so they're not going to quit giving it to him because because Kennedale has played well. They'll keep beating him, and that was a great vision play. Again, we talked about why he lines up so deep in the backfield sometimes. They want to get him the ball at 5 yards deep. Let him have that vision. That was actually a cutback. He saw the linebacker evacuate. He was able to cut back into that space because of the great vision. Obviously, great athlete, great speed, but the vision enables him to be the great runner that he is.
So now it's back to Kennedale to try to respond offensively after the early struggle. They hit the touchdown pass, got on the scoreboard, a little bit of momentum, and Carthage gets it right back. And a line drive kick. Juggled, but then scooped up by Brooks. Brooks able to reach the 25, maybe the 26. So, yeah, Keontae Ingram, he's on the board, and he's done it. Now Kennedale trying to get its running game back in gear.
You know, that's how they both got here, Craig. You know, the old saying, dance with the one that brought you. Well, that's what they're going to do. I've got a penalty on this play way back on the kickoff, so I don't know what they're going to do with this, but they've been able to do that. It's ironic that a couple of the scores have been on long pass plays to keep in the game, so it goes back to this. They both got great defenses. Somebody's got to challenge the other one, and so the passing game, it came alive a little bit, but they're never going to get away from the strength of what brought them here, and that is, you know, Keontae for Carthage and the two-headed monster from Kennedale. This rush for over 4,400 yards.
K&K, Knowles, and Curvin. 5-yard penalty there for offsides on the kickoff, tacked on to the end of the return. So it's at the 31-yard line is where Kennedale begins this possession, with Knowles and Curvin in the backfield. And it's going to be Curvin. John Curvin trying to turn it upfield, only able to pick up a yard. Michael Gates, Ahmad Brown, maybe a little over a yard. We'll check the spot of that.
That was your typical old-style wing T sweep, buck sweep. You know, they're going to pull two guards. They're going to fake that full back in the middle, and then just give away. Here they all come. See the guards out in the middle. Carthage again does a great job. Brown does a great job coming down. So, but that is the staple of the wing T offense.
Second down and a long 8 for the Wildcats. Knowles turned and brought down from behind after a pickup to the 35-yard line by Gates. See how those linebackers are all around the play.
Exactly. Again, there's the same motion, but they're going to give fullback on a little trap look. But again, their defensive line is occupying the offensive line and the blockers. So you get a free run from your linebackers. And a lot of defenses are designed that way. Your defensive tackles and ends aren't going to make very many tackles, but your linebackers are going to make a bunch because they're blocking, so to speak. They're blocking the offensive line so linebackers can run free.
So now on 3rd and 6. It's Knowles again, and he'll have the first down. The strength of Jaden Knowles driving upfield for a pickup of 12 yards.
What a tough block. I can't tell. Haven't seen how tall Jaden Knowles is, but he's not real tall, but he is a stocky, tough. I mean, he had 4 people on him that time. So strength, I think, is going to come into play. You may see Knowles become a huge player in the 4th quarter when defenses get a little bit tired, because I think he's going to be able to keep going.
James listed at 5'8". I do stress the word listed. There's a toss, and nice job. Ball was fumbled out of bounds, but Deshaun Curvin, first of all, did a good job to kind of regain his balance by putting the hand down on the turf, but then after he rose back up, he lost the ball, but it did squirt out of bounds.
Yeah, Corey Ware did a great job pursuing across and got off a block in the secondary to kind of knock that ball loose. That's a lucky break that it is fumbled out of bounds, but he did fumble it for a first down.
Yeah, went forward and a move of the chains as a result.
You know, another interesting thing is in the day where we signal everything in, Coach Barnett and the Kennedale Wildcats still bring a play in from a wide receiver at the corner. No mistakes in that.
Countering back the other way this time, going to Roper, coming from that wing back cross, and he picks up 5 yards before he's wrapped up by Ahmad Brown.
Kennedale's starting to look at some of their misdirection stuff off that buck sweep look, coming back with the wing back trap back inside. So they're kind of starting to feel better about some of the penetration they're not getting and being able to run some misdirection stuff that may open up some bootleg stuff for their passing game here in a moment.
On second down, swing pass outside to the lengthy Jaden Smith on the catch. And Smith able to pick up enough for the first down.
Again, a version of a sweep for most teams to get the ball out there really quick, be able to snap that throw off, get it there. It's a one-on-one coverage. The corner was backed off about 7 yards, so it's an easy pitch and catch, especially on short yardage. You're not going to get a lot out of it unless you break a tackle. 7th first down of this first half for Kennedale. Carthage has 10 first downs, and that's a big part of that 14-point lead for the Bulldogs. The Wildcats on the move, and Knowles. Another one in big run up the middle and close to another first down, a gain of 9. Well, that's just power football right there. Watch the fullback here. Just sticks up in the hole, does a great job. I'm telling you, you know what kind of player we have in Brown, number 13, stepping out of that hole. Then you got a fullback on him, a lead blocker. That's the thing about these Kennedale backs. They both got over 2,000 yards, but man, they will block for each other really well when they're not carrying the ball. Second in the yard for Kennedale. This time it's Curvin's turn around the corner, and looks like he's going to be short of the first down. Excellent lateral pursuit down the line of scrimmage to bring him down by Jose DeJulian. And you hit it right there, Craig. The pursuit right now is unbelievable from Carthage. They are running the football. So, it's set. And I'm sure the Kennedale coaches upstairs are telling Coach Barnett, hey, they're ready, they're set. The quarterback keeper off of that. They have a keeper, they have a pass play off of it. And just the quarterback sweep out of that motion in these high pursuit can slow that down. 3rd down and 1. The toss back, and that ball is loose out on the turf. And Carthage has come up with a fumble. It got away from Deshaun Curvin. Michael Gates on it, and Carthage takes over on the Kennedale turnover. Michael, what a play. I mean, he took the ball away from him. There wasn't a fumble there. You watch, he just takes the ball completely away from his. He reaches in, knocks it out. Well, he does kind of, my bad. Swatted it right out, and then was landed on the turf right by him. Yeah. And Gates able to recover. Gates swatted and recovered the fumble. Well, Scott Surratt said we've got to win the turnover battle today, and they're doing that so far. As well as moving the ball very, very well. Defense is rising up. Back to Ingram. And a nice play made by Hector Rivera. Otherwise, Keontae might have been difficult to stop going downfield. He would have, and Kennedale really has to mentally recover right now. They had a drive going, big fumble. They're trying to get close. The first 2 or 3 plays here in this series are really important. They've got to really bow up. Gain of 8 for Keontae Ingram. This time to the air, and it's Colbert breaking free after the catch. Down the sidelines, and they'll not catch Micah Colbert, or he did step out of bounds at the 33-yard line. But Colbert, so close to taking it 67 yards, will settle for a 34-yard catch and run. Man, look at this. You see they've got 3 guys. 1, 2, 3. The 3rd defender is here. They're going to block these 2. There's nobody else there. Now there you see Bowen's blocking. Also Dwaylon Ingram blocking. Just that is where Carthage really looks at that and say, we got them outnumbered. We got them beat 3-2 right there. Let's go. Back to Keontae Ingram. Stepping forward through some tackles, and another big first down carry for the senior tailback. A gain of 7 yards.
Avion Jenkins, the stop for the Wildcats.
Again, the Carthage team is, they're kind of like the blood in the water right now. They feel it. Kennedale is on their heels right now. The big play got them, and the fumble got them, and they've got to really stand up here. I know Coach Barrett is really leaning on him to stand up.
Gain of 7, and Colbert now to take the snap. And there was movement, however. Let's check and see this. It's going to be a false start against Carthage.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 4 of the offense. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
Little anxious. It may have been a pass. He's caught a touchdown already tonight. It may have been another one going that way. Again, 3-receiver side here. See how the safety is coming down to the 3-receiver side, leading man-on-man up on the top.
Well, this could be a double pass. Back to Colbert. Going deep downfield. The catch is made by Keontae Ingram. But there are flags on the field, and Colbert is slow to get up for Carthage. He is on his feet, but there are flags down. This is coming back.
Yeah, it's going to be a hold. Carthage pulling out a lot of stops here. They could have gone to either their, either receiver. They had single coverage on the top that ran it off. Then Keontae was able to slip off into that wheel route. But got a hold out here on one of the wide receivers. I'm not sure which one is going to get that call.
Holding, number 4 of the offense. 10 yards from the previous spot. Repeat, second down.
It was on the tight end, Callahan Baldry, senior, who was called for that.
Again, when you look at it, it's the same play that they had the big play on a while ago. They're outnumbered. Kennedale's coming hard, but instead of running through that blocking gap right there, they're going to throw it back. So it's just a play off the big play that they had a while ago.
And there you see the hold there in the middle, as it was Cade Stevenson being held. So
those wide receivers, they're not used to having to block out there. They get caught pretty often.
So now it becomes second down and 18, and just over a minute to go in the half. Important time for this Kennedale defense, see if they can get to the locker room, only down 14, and now
timeout, Carthage. That's their second charge timeout of the half.
And so the Bulldogs have to call the timeout to prevent a delay of game penalty as the clock was going to 0. Just over a minute before halftime, that means the Ford halftime show is coming up. Rick Renner and Randy Rogers to take you through as they get settled in. Hello, Rico. And the coach, they have a good view of things, and they'll be talking about that Bulldogs really off to a good start here in the first half. And yes, the early signing period began on Wednesday, so that 72-hour period expires tonight, and that's a new day and time in collegiate football, certainly.
It's unbelievable. Some of those coaches they might get some sleep tonight finally.
No doubt about it. This is game number 1 of the Friday triple header. And then coming up this afternoon, the 4A Division II state championship. Pleasant Grove High of the Texarkana area taking on the 2-time defending state champions, the West Orange Stark Mustangs, who won 40 in a row. And then 7 o'clock tonight, the 5A Division I championship round, defending state champion Highland Park against the second-ranked team in the state, Manville. That is tonight at 7, those games coming up. We mentioned Kennedale's only loss has been to West Orange Stark, part of that 40-game winning streak. So Carthage and West Orange Stark have been number 1 and number 2 in the AP top 10 all season long. Every poll. Keontae Ingram in the backfield. It is Ingram gets the carry and a lot of running room. Ingram on second down and 18 goes 41 to the house.
When in doubt, give it to the guy that brought you here, even on second and 18. I'm sure they were thinking, let's get 10 back on this, but they saw something on that backside. There just wasn't anybody there. Did a great job at the blocking attack. T.J. Romero, number 72, the left tackle, really kicked the end out. Big hole. And once you get Keontae in a secondary, there's not many people that are going to challenge him one-on-one in anybody's secondary. That's why he's going to be playing at the University of Texas. So defensively, they were looking for the pass more than the run.
And how about Ingram looking down at the field, making sure he stayed in bounds? Presence of mind to do that. And What a guy this season, what he has done, not just this season, but last year as well in the state championship run for Carthage, and over 2,100 rushing yards, the 34 touchdowns. He was the offensive MVP here last year in the Carthage win over Abilene Wiley, and obviously very highly regarded.
He is, and you just look at his flow. Even on that last run, there was a quick burst, and then there was a flow. Even on the sidelines, you could see he just had body control, body lean, and we talked about his vision already today, and he's the full package. He's going to get to college, and they're going to put about 20 more pounds on him in strength, and he's probably going to be a really special back in years to come, and to be something that the town of Carthage will really, again, have another guy to hang their hat on that they can watch play on Saturday and maybe Sunday.
Brad, you coaches like to refer to explosive plays, whether runs of whatever, 12, 13 yards more, and passes 16 or 18 yards or more. How about 5 plays so far of 30 or more yards for Carthage in the first half?
Yeah, that's kind of that double explosive, and at least 3 of those have ended up in touchdowns. And it's hard for defenses to recover from that, especially on a changed possession. Kennedale had it going, they fumbled, and then 2 of those big strike plays were in that next series. And man, it's hard for kids to recover mentally. They don't have much time left, but they've got to figure out what they can do with this.
Short kickoff, fielded by Hector Rivera. Rivera slides down just shy of the 39-yard line. Under a minute to go in the half. Kennedale does have all 3 of its timeouts remaining with good field position. So if Coach Bear wants to try to see if they can get something downfield in a hurry.
Right. I think it'll depend on this. I think he'll try. I think the first play he's going to test the water. If they get something big, 6, 7, or a big yard, then I think you'll see them really push the ball down. If they don't get much, you're probably going to see Coach Bear just kind of lick his wounds, go to the halftime, try to regather, get his kids up. They've seen comebacks all week long here, so it's not like 28-7 is insurmountable.
Jaden Knowles in the backfield. It is Knowles. Trying to shake outside. He cannot do it. Monterio Wilson wraps him up for a loss of 3.
Yeah, Brown was right there as well. It turned him back into Monterio. Just swarming the football. You can't say enough about swarming defenses, and Carthage is really feeling good right now and running the football. So we'll see what they decide to do. It looks like they're going to let the clock run out and go regather at halftime.
Backward movement halted after a 2-yard loss back to the 37, but it's going to be the final play of the first half, and the #1 team in the state looks every bit the part. The Carthage Bulldogs, defending state champions, in firm command of this game through the first 24 minutes of play. So halftime here at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, and it is Carthage in front by a score of 28-7 on Kennedale. It's a pretty impressive first half for the Bulldogs. And we'll go down to the sidelines along with head coach Scott Surratt, our Randy McElvoy.
All right, correct. Thanks. Comfortable lead, Coach. Good first half for you. Gunner Cap strong in the first quarter. Keontae really took over the second quarter.
Yeah, we knew we was going to throw the ball and loosen them up for Keontae. We knew they'd have 8 or 9 in the box, and Gunner did a great job. Receivers did a good job, and we wanted Keon more touches the second quarter. That's for sure.
You told me before the game when you're defending against this wing T, you guys have done a pretty good job. Only 131 yards of offense by Kennedale.
Yeah, we're proud of our defense, and we challenged our defense, and we can hold them up about 300 yards. We'll be all right.
All right, good luck second half.
All right, thanks, Randy.
Craig, back up to you.
All right, thanks very much, Randy. Ford halftime show is coming up. It's all Carthage right now. We'll see what Kennedale can do. But the Ford halftime show next here on Fox Sports Southwest.
Of 3 2,000-yard rushers. And guess what? One is better than 2. Arguably the best running back in the state, Keontae Ingram, putting on a show in the second quarter. 28-7 your halftime score as Carthage looks to go back-to-back state champs and wire-to-wire number 1. We welcome you into the Ford Halftime Show, starring the one and only Randy Rogers, the godfather and the czar of recruiting. I'm Rick Renner. Well, you look at this, and with Carthage and their great head coach Scott Surratt, he has been the most prolific coach in state history. He is now going for his 6th title in 9 years, and number 1 Carthage is looking every bit of it.
Well, they're plenty good, Rick. They have plenty of speed, and what they've been able to do in the first half is, number 1, they've been able to bottle up Kennedale's running game, okay? And number 2, they've been able to have a nice mix of long passes, catch and runs, and some really special runs by Keontae Ingram.
Well, let's take a look at the highlights here as Beast Texas comes to the DF Dub to take on one of the Metroplex's powers. Game 1 of the spectacular triple header today. Opening drive, Gunner Caps hits to Waylon Ingram for the 14-yard score.
Yeah, Caps has been very on target, 11 out of 15 here in the first half.
240 yards passing, and it's 7-0 Bulldogs early on. Later in the first, 3rd and 10, Caps looking deep, and he will connect to Mekhi Colbert, and he will scamper into the end zone for the 64-yard score. The Bulldogs began the game a perfect 5 for 5 on 3 downs, and they're up 14-0.
Yeah, Carthage has so much speed on the perimeter that they're able to get deep and just flat out run the Kennedale defenders.
Second quarter, Evan Jowers showing powers to David Roper, and the 37-yard score. Kennedale needs to throw the ball more, no?
Well, they're really not built to throw the ball more, Rick. They've got to be able to run the ball, but they've got to be able to come up with big play-action plays in the passing game.
Kennedale hanging tough. They hit 2 guys in the same spot, almost picked them off there, down 14-7. Then the ensuing Carthage possession, Caps airs it out to D. Bowens, who's in the no-ones. What a perfect pass, 39 yards on that one.
Yeah, just another example of sheer speed on the outside run and go routes.
A couple defenders on him. And then later in the drive, Keontae Ingram, the future Texas Longhorn, the 20-yard touchdown, 21-7 Bulldogs. Late in the half, Ingram finding a hole, making a man miss, and he will go 41 yards for the score.
Yeah, Carthage doing a nice job of mixing up. Kennedale did a really good job of bottling Ingram up in the first half, but they found a way to get him in the second.
Look at the tightrope there, 87 yards, 2 touchdowns in the first half. Carthage up 28-7 at the half, and when we look at the halftime stats, it is so one-sided. It tells the story.
Yeah, it sure is. Particularly the passing yards, over 200 yards difference. Rushing pretty much the same, but both the Carthage coming on 2 big Ingram runs, and Kennedale a mixture.
Yeah, you look at Carthage, they've been number 1 all year long, and Keontae Ingram gets all the headlines, but Gunner Caps, love his name, Gunner for a quarterback. He is getting it done, 11 of 15 for 240 yards passing with 2 touchdowns, which opens things up for Keontae.
Yeah, he's a pocket guy, and he's got a really nice arm, but he really throws a very tight spiral, and his job with Carthage is to get it to all these other playmakers so they can do magic with their feet.
And the thing you got to love about him, the passes are right on the money, in double coverage and right where it needs to be.
Yeah, in football terms, we call that ball placement accuracy, putting the ball where only your receiver can catch it.
Kennedale did a nice job with Keontae Ingram early on in this one, but in the second quarter, he broke out. What happened?
Well, Carthage found a way. Hector Rivera was the guy making all the tackles. They found a way to scheme him out of the box. You don't see anybody in the middle right there because of formation. And Ingram is able to make the cut and explode straight ahead.
The funny thing about Ingram, every time I see him in the number 28, he reminds me a lot of a guy that ran for Palestine. Remember that guy, Adrian Peterson?
Yeah, that's a pretty hefty comparison.
A little bit bigger, but, the running style, he runs angry, doesn't he?
Well, he runs fast is what I think.
How do they slow him down as far as Kennedale goes in the second half? Because they're going to have to get some stops to get back into this game.
Well, it's pick your poison, because you either stop him and load the box up to stop him and get out numbers and give up something on the outside, and then that's what Carthage did to start the game, is they were able to get the ball to all their playmakers out on the outside.
Let's take a break on the Ford Halftime Show. We're just getting the party started. Game 1 of a triple header, and really just a fantastic Friday here at AT&T. We're at halftime of the Class 4A Division I State Championship game. Carthage looking to go back-to-back. We will have more after this short timeout. First title appearance for Kennedale as the Wildcats look to make history. Got some work to do to make that. So while the Carthage Bulldogs looking to win their 6th title in 9 years, we're at halftime of the 4A Division I state championship game. Well, the 72-hour early signing period is still going on, and here's some of the top uncommitted prospects that the colleges are drooling over.
Yeah, they're not only uncommitted, Rick, but they're unsigned. And the one school that you look over on the right that pops up consistently is Texas A&M. Jimbo Fisher making a late pitch. Joshua Moore's twin brother Jordan signed with the Aggies. Okay, Jalen Waddle was being recruited by Florida State. Now he's being recruited by Texas A&M. And then you see Joseph Osei, the defensive end, also considering the Aggies.
And as we continue the Ford halftime report, let's talk about Keontae Ingram. He's been verbally committed all this time to go to the University of Texas. He's not expected to sign early with Texas. What does that mean?
Well, when we talked to Coach Surratt early in the week, that they were concerned about, they didn't want to get in the way of the state title game. They wanted total focus on the state title, and that they are. But the fact of the matter is, if he doesn't sign with Texas by tonight, okay, he is going to wake up tomorrow being unsigned, therefore available for anybody else to come in and recruit him all the way until February 7th. So if you're a team anywhere in the country and you're watching this game, and tomorrow you're going to wake up and say, that guy, number 28, didn't sign with anybody, the rental cars are going to be lined up coming through Carthage to talk to him as soon as the dead period is over in January.
So what you're saying is there's a difference between unsigned and uncommitted.
Well, I'm saying there's a difference between unsigned and verbally committed. I don't believe in this soft verbal commitment. You either signed or you didn't. If you didn't, you're fair game for the rest of the month of January.
So what happens with Ingram? He's a Longhorn, right?
Well, he says he wants to play for Texas. I'm sure Tom Herman wants that to make that happen. But I guarantee one of those first rental cars are going to be there come January. Going to be with a big Longhorn on the side of it.
Well, we have a great day of games for you. This is just game one of our triple header, and it all culminates with a big one tonight in the nightcap. Let's take a look at the games. West Orange Starks puts its 40-game winning streak on the line against the Cinderella Story. Pleasant Grove in their first state title appearance. Everybody from Texarkana is working their way into the building. And followed by defending champ Highland Park and the Manville, a clash of titans in the 5A Division I title game. It really is the ultimate David versus Goliath with Pleasant Grove in their first undefeated season. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle the stage.
Yeah, they're also a wing T team like Kennedale. Josh Gibson, one of the top young coaches, taking over that program, done a great job rebuilding that program. It'll be a fun game to watch.
And then you think about Manville, who is the home team. They got to take on Highland Park and their great quarterback, John Stephen Jones, who won a state title game here last year. And, of course, Jerry Jones owns the building, so I don't know how you're the home team, right?
Well, it's a huge advantage for Highland Park to have familiarity with this, and certainly their quarterback has familiarity with this thing. I think of all the games, Rick, today, that's the one that fans anticipate the most because, boy, Manville has so many athletes. They're probably going to lead the state in most number of Division I commits. So it's going to be a great game between the Highland Park execution and the Manville athleticism.
A lot of great athletes will be on display here at AT&T in the nightcap. And one to really keep an eye on is Jalen Preston, who is verbally not signed, not completely committed to Texas A&M, but he's one of those guys that is very special.
Oh, you can make a case that he's the top receiver in the state. He's the top DB in the state. He's certainly the top kick return guy in the state. He's a great player, and you watch him here on tape, and he'll be on display tonight. But go back to my Keontae Ingram. Jalen Preston, along with a lot of these Manville players, elected not to sign in the early period. They're going to February. Okay, again, like Keontae Ingram, as of next week, he is unsigned, therefore he is fair game. So again, all those rental cars we're talking about, if you need a great player, you're going to line up in Manville as well as they've got other players. So the early signing period is really interesting how it's playing out because all bets are off once we get to January.
And what a story it is for the world-famous Martin family. You know, you got Coach Kirk Martin and his son Kason Martin in his senior year. I know it aided them last year when they got knocked out of the playoffs by Temple. That was the driving mission for them to get back and get a chance to get into the state championship game. And here they are, and what a story it's been for that family.
Yeah, and Kason being one of the three Manville players that signed early. He signed with North Texas, so he's going to enroll. He's an early enrollee, so he's done with high school. He's playing this game, and then he's headed off to Denton, America.
Do you get the sense the last team with the ball between Highland Park and Manville is going to be the one that wins? It's going to be a shootout.
I think it's going to be a shootout. The pressure is on the two defenses, Rick, because otherwise the race is on between one of those two teams, both of those teams, and the scoreboard to see who can keep up, because they can put some points on the board, folks.
John Stephen Jones, he's legit. We hear his arm strength is even better this year than last year when he won the state championship. His numbers, the best we've seen of any quarterback in the DFW.
Well, I think what I like about him, and I think you'll see on play, is he really has a great command of offense. He can throw in rhythm. He can throw on time. He can make the pinpoint passes. Plus, he's a really good athlete, and we saw that in last year's state title game. Had a couple of big runs. So it's going to be a great matchup and a challenge for Manville's defense to corral him and his playmaking ability.
Well, we're expecting record crowds today. It's going to be a fun day. The UIL always putting on a great show. And for more on the UIL's perspective, let's send it upstairs to Craig Way with the special guest.
All right, thanks very much. Here at halftime, joined by UIL Deputy Director Dr. Jamie Harrison, and a fun time here in the first half and seeing not only this football game, but the way this whole event's come together. We keep talking about the hard work put in, not only by your staff, but so many people connected to this event.
This is such a great event. It's a phenomenal state championship experience for the schools involved. AT&T Stadium treats us great. This is a world-class championship experience for the fans, for the schools, for their communities, and most importantly, for the students participating in these games.
Jamie, let me ask you about a couple of pilot program things that going forward for football. First of all, in Conference 6A, with those top seeds and district champions getting those home field, how has all that played out so far?
It's worked well so far. The coaches seem to like it. That will actually move down to 5A for next year, so that the higher seed will get the home field advantage in the first round only. It's really helped when you have this many playoff games. Finding a neutral site that is capable of hosting these games can be difficult in that first week where we have the most games. And so having those predetermined with the home field advantage rule has been really positive so far.
What about going forward with Conference 5A? We're about to see 5As take the stage tonight and tomorrow about going to split division alignment.
That'll be a very different world for them. So for those of you who don't understand the split division, what we have is all the Conference 5A schools will be ranked from the largest to the smallest, and then we cut that group in half. So the largest half will be placed into districts together starting next year. The smallest half will be placed into different districts together. So it will be very different. We've had that in 4A and below for some time. It's been very successful there. It provides more competitive equity for football where enrollment numbers really matter so much. So we'll see how it goes in 5A, but they're excited about it.
Always great to catch up with you. Appreciate the time, Jamie.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Dr. Jamie Harrison, Deputy Director of the UIL. Halftime here with Carthage up 28-7. Second half coming up with a 4A Division I state championship here on Fox Sports Southwest. Downfield for Culver is open. He'll finish the job. The Carthage Bulldogs coming back onto the field with a 21-point advantage. The #1 team in the state, the defending 4A Division I state champions, with a 28-7 lead on the Kennedale Wildcats. Craig Way and Brad McCoy with you. And, we had all this talk about the running games. And Carthage came out throwing the football, in fact, for a couple of touchdowns. And that seemed to open things up for Keontae Ingram.
Right. Kennedale had to decide what they were going to cover. You stack the box to stop the run, and you've got a couple of receivers out on the outside, and then you go cover the receivers, and you've got the running game of Keontae. So, it's kind of pick your poison. What do you want? Hopefully, Kennedale's able to regather, restructure defense to be able to cover both.
And how about a second down at 18 for a 41-yard touchdown run there? So Carthage with the lead. What does Kennedale do about it? Let's check in with Randy McElroy down on the sidelines.
All right, thanks a lot, Craig. With Richard Barrett, head coach of Kennedale, you get ready for a second half. What was your message to the guys? You're down right now 28-7 to get back into this game.
Well, it's certainly not in the most enviable position against the defending state champion. But Randy, what we think, we've got to take the opening kickoff here in the second half, go score, play better defense, get a stop, get off the field, get a turnover, score, get back in the game. We got to get on Mo on our side. Our kids are, I think they're ready to do that. It was not a very pleasant locker room, but at the same time, we know what's ahead of us, and we just need to go execute.
All right, good luck in the second half, Coach.
Thanks, Randy. Appreciate it.
Love that refreshing honesty from Richard Barrett. It was not a very pleasant locker room, You've been there, Brad. You know what that's like.
It is. It's not, and it doesn't mean that the coaches weren't pleasant. Those kids were upset with the way they played. And so when you got that combination trying to coach, you have to really settle them down because you have to make halftime adjustments. And when you look at these three running backs in this game, you're looking at three of the best that you're going to see this weekend in Jaden Knowles, Deshaun Caravan, and Keontae Ingram. I mean, look at the yards they've had. So they're going to rely on those kids. But, Kennedale's got to find another way to get back in this game, and it may be through some kind of play action.
Well, they'll have the first opportunity here. The kickoff to start in the second half, and they'll kick away from everybody, and Brooks has to pick it up at the 9-yard line. And difficulty getting upfield because he kicked away from everybody. It was an excellent kickoff by Alberto Segala. So Kennedale, as a result of that, will have to start from its own 22-yard line.
We've seen 2 or 3 different styles of kickoffs from Carthage tonight. I know they're trying to keep it away from some of their speed guys, but they've had short pooch kicks. They've had line drive kicks. They've got 2 different guys kicking in their formation. So obviously they've seen something they want to prepare for in that, and they have been able to accomplish field position with Kennedale in all those kicks.
Line up with both Knowles and Curvin in the backfield. And Deshaun Curvin with the carry, but or Jaden Knowles rather, and not much there at all because Ahmad Brown ran right into him at the line of scrimmage. No gain.
Again, free runner. You've got a great defensive line that's coached to take out blockers on the offensive line. You had no lead. They gave it to the fullback, so you had no lead back. And man, when you give Brown that opportunity one-on-one in the hole, he's going to win that battle. He's a really good linebacker.
Second and 10. Jowers to keep himself, and gain of about 2 to 3 right in that area. Michael Gates, the tackle.
Again, Craig, we talked about in the opener, between Gates and Brown, they had, coming into this game, they had over, I think, 309, 310 tackles between them. And so those first 2 plays, you got Brown making one for no gain. You got Michael making the game for 2 yards. So they are playing football like they want to play it right now.
3rd down and 7. To the air this time over the middle, and the catch made by Jaden Smith.
Fumble.
And then the ball coming loose, but they'll rule it incomplete. Meanwhile, Richard Barrett arguing, no, my guy had the catch and was down. He wanted the whole thing, but it'll be ruled an incomplete pass, and it'll bring up 4th down.
That is the first straight drop back that they've had. They've had the same motion out there. Good pass, did a great job, but it's the first straight drop and pass that we've had in this game from Kennedale. Everything else has been a sprint out away from pressure. So that's a good look for them. I hope they can come back to that.
Well, it brings to mind, again, the phrase going to the ground with the football, but ruled incomplete. Kevin Tierra will punt. A left-footed kick. Down past Colbert, who let it bounce, and it takes a great Kennedale roll. They needed that, certainly, to the 22-yard line, a 53-yard punt with no return. Well, and it's going to come down to if Kennedale can stop Carthage, because they didn't in the first half.
Well, that's coaches. Oh, you love it if you're an offensive coach, that everything ends in a touchdown. I was going to say one of our goals always in our games was that the goal of our offense was to kick the ball at the end of every possession. And so it's either an extra point, a punt, or a field goal. So no fumbles, no interceptions. So they got a good kick on that one. So they've actually changed the field. We'll see where we can go with this.
Bulldogs operate from their 22. To the ground this time, and Ingram on the carry for a pickup of a couple. Jamal Marshall, the sophomore nose tackle, on the stop.
Mayfield Hayes is so upset with himself. 44. I mean, he had Ingram in the hole. I mean, he has unblocked. He had him in the hole, and of course Keontae just made an incredible by-step move, and he grabbed air. So he's slapping himself on the helmet. He knows that he wants to play better than that. But great job getting in the hole. Just now he's got to finish.
And Carthage going to take a timeout.
Carthage, their first charge timeout of the half.
Bulldogs call the timeout here, early stages of the 3rd quarter. And gives us the opportunity to check in with John Radigan with a message from our friends at Baylor Scott & White Health, who proudly support Texas high school football.
I'm here with Jim Hinton, CEO of Baylor Scott & White Health. Jim, why is Baylor so tied to the UIL?
Well, you know, sports are so important in our society, and we want to be part of making sports safer.
Yeah, obviously, everybody would like to prevent injuries, but aren't injuries in sports just inevitable?
Of course, there are risks in any kind of sports that you involve yourself in, but we think that there are techniques that can reduce the incidence of injuries and help get our sons and daughters back playing their sports even more quickly.
Baylor Scott & White Health has a unique relationship with the Star in Frisco. Can this serve as a blueprint for how sports medicine is evolving?
Well, we think so. This partnership with the Cowboys is one of the most unique in the country. It's us, it's the Dallas Cowboys, and it's the Frisco ISD. What a great team to put together to really make a difference in sports.
Well, we're glad to have you here and glad to have you part of our championship weekend. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. Scott Surratt wanting to make sure, leaving no stone unturned. After all, his team and program has been dominant. 3 in a row. 2008 won the final high school football game ever played at Texas Stadium in Irving, state championship over Salina, and then 09 and 010 championships again in 2012, and then last year beating Abilene Wiley to win the 4A Division I state title. He's been certainly a true beast of the East. There's some great teams coming out of East Texas. They've been at the top of the list of accomplishments. Deep, downfield, wide open. Deep Owens, 76 yards for the touchdown.
Comes off the play action, Craig. You know, they're looking at running back again. Steve throws the safeties. They stayed up. He came back in. Great protection of his offensive line, and Bowens hurt him again just like he did in the first half. That's huge.
Brad, some folks might be watching saying, is that what Scott Surratt was talking about in the timeout, or did they already have that dialed up?
I think probably they had it dialed up, but they weren't lined up right. They misaligned probably in the receiver part. But you can see just a combination route there. The safety just hesitates one time, and with the kind of speed Bowens has, you just can't cover it. Again, it goes back to that defense. What's going to get you? They were up in that line of scrimmage. They had 2 safeties, and that's just not enough sometimes.
Would you call that a timeout well spent?
Absolutely. It's kind of like that mulligan. That was a good use of your mulligan.
Well, plenty of time there for Gunner Capps to throw deep.
It really was, and we've said that 2 or 3 times tonight. Capps has had no pressure on the throw. Offensive line is doing a tremendous job. They're anchored in there strong, and the play action hurt right then. It froze a lot of people. But you got it when you look at what Kenyante did in the first half. You got to honor that. So just a little look to that just froze people enough when you got the kind of speed. You know, people look at this, and I was talking to a couple of coaches that, you know, Coach Jackson and Coach Lucas, these guys that are here at the game during halftime. They were like, good night. Yeah, what would you do if you got to coach a team like this? And it's not all about Kenyante. He's the feature, and he's what you see. But goodness gracious, they've got some really, really good players to surround Kenyante in roles that it makes you just. Kennedale's a great team. They're a great team that's being made look like they're not a real good team, because defensively, who do you cover? They're not covering anybody. Well, it's just hard when you got such a talented team. I was fortunate or unfortunate, however you want to put it, to be the 2010 victim of Carthage when I was the head coach at Graham, and we had a great game with them. But I think this is his best team ever. I mean, in the time I've seen, he's got more talent spread out, and they're playing better. I don't know if this is the best team he's ever had.
It's tremendous. Here's the kickoff, fielded just over the 40 as Devin Mason. We'll go down to the sidelines to check in with Randy McElroy.
Yeah, watching this unfold right now, 35-7. I had a good conversation with Richard Barrett this past week, guys, and he talked about the emotions first of being here with his dad coaching 40 years, never having a chance to play. An emotional week indeed. But then I asked him specifically about Carthage, and he said, listen, I'm not going to sleep any this week. I'll be honest with you. This is a well-oiled machine on both sides. We got to be at our best, and I think he's getting a dose of what Carthage is all about right now.
We'll start from the 42-yard line. And on first down, it's Curvin trying to sweep upfield. By the way, a note on that 76-yard touchdown pass, it tied for the 3rd longest completed pass for a touchdown in UIL state championship history, tying The 76-yarder thrown by C.J. Tomlinson to DeBrian Blanton for Forney against LaGrange in 2000. But the longest one, well, that was 2010. Anthony Morgan to Cortland Ware, Carthage against Cold Spring here in 2010.
Yep. They make a habit of writing stuff in these record books.
Second down and 5 from the 47. To the ground to Knowles. Only able to pick up a yard. It brings up third down. And Jose DeJulian on the tackle for Carthage.
You just keep seeing the same scenario here. You think it looks like Knowles has a hole. They've got it blocked at the point of attack, but there's a free runner there in that linebacker core, and they're doing a great job cleaning up. You know, it's interesting what Randy had to say at the break with dads. You know, we had a great dad moment last night in your game, Craig. It was awesome. I'm sure we'll talk about that before. But both these coaches have dads that have coached them and been coaches, and so it's just a special time.
It is third down. Knowles, the running back, and unable to get going was Jowers. Quentin Owens hopped on him. It brings up fourth down for Kennedale.
That was a total read there, and it just was, you know, the read was to keep, but man, they just filled it in. So Jowers is having a hard time getting this going not because of the execution of Kennedale, it's just because of the really aggressive play of Carthage.
You're right. No matter whether it was the read or the keep, it wasn't going to work because it was just perfectly defended.
Right.
Tierra to punt. And Carthage perhaps expecting if they didn't drop anybody back deep, and so it'll roll to the 20-yard line for a punt of 34 yards. All this season, our Fox Sports Southwest High School crew has highlighted the most incredible plays from around the state each and every week. Now it's time to unveil the main event play of the year. Tune in tomorrow night, Saturday night, between our 6A matchups to see which play is selected as the inaugural main event play of the year.
I'm assuming there was a long list of that, Craig, in a full year of football.
Yeah, there was. And Torrey Lachlan of Rockdale might have added his name to the list with that hurdle he had yesterday on the long run downfield.
Again, a vision play for Kenyante, 7 yards deep in the backfield.
It'll be a pass outside to Colbert and picked up one block, but maybe an illegal one or a hold because this looks like it'll come back. I want to go back to something you talked about a moment ago, Brad. You talked about fathers and sons, and yeah, we talked about Jeff Miller and Gunnar Miller and that great moment in the Rockdale come from behind win in the 3A Division I state championship game over Mason. And
holding number 7 of the offense, 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Repeat first down.
And of course, we told the story, and it had been certainly profiled of Gunnar Miller's battle with bone cancer and the loss of through surgery of his being able to play anymore, but being inserted at the end of the ball game. It was a special moment for everybody watching, but certainly for fathers and sons. And a lot of what this game has been connected to is fathers and sons coaching and playing, or players, as Colbert takes the direct snap and he'll move it upfield after the penalty for 5 yards. Fathers and sons, you had the opportunity, you coached 2 of your sons, Colt McCoy and Case McCoy, in state championship games. They both wound up being heartbreaking losses for you, but that is an otherwise indefinable moment, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, you play the game, you love it, you probably played. To have your kids, or if your kids are coaching and you have your dad with you, unless you're a dad or a kid that plays for dad, it's really undescribable. Just the feeling that you get on. I actually had 3. Chance, my middle son, was able to play on those as well with his brothers. So no greater blessing than being able to get your kids in that thing. And you know, you develop relationships. My kids had great friends, and those boys played for me, and so it's almost like they were sons as well. So to see the emotion of both these coaches, Coach Surratt and Coach Barrett, both who dads coached them, one in football, one in baseball, and to be here, and it's almost like you're playing for them.
Didn't want to leave Chance out of the equation there, as well as
He said, Chance is the one that said he made both quarterbacks because he was a receiver. He was an all-state receiver, and he got to catch touchdowns from both kids. So he's the one that says he made them that.
Well, making a big play here is Colbert, turning it upfield. He caught the one pass for the first down, then takes this one down to the 40-yard line, a gain of 25 yards.
Again, there's just that little, they're outnumbered. The safety gets a little closer this time, but you block two, and you got nobody there till safety help gets there, and he's able to get there and prevent the touchdown. But they came back to the same play again that they scored in the first half with. Again, what do you choose here, Craig? I mean, that's the quandary that Kennedale is in. If you try to stop Kenyatta, you've got people on the line of scrimmage. You got to pull your safeties up. When you do, you're outnumbered on the flank, and you can throw the ball out there for those kind of plays. So it's just tough to defend an offense that has this many weapons.
And it's what everybody who has played Carthage last year and this year has had to deal with. Blitz coming this time, and deep down the sidelines, that one just beyond the reach of Dwaylen Ingram.
Yeah, little stumble on Dwaylen there. He knows it. Okay, he patted his chest, and my bad. If he doesn't stumble, he probably catches that in stride. But again, you got trips to the right. You got Dwaylen single covered on the top. The safeties have to play to the trip side because they've been throwing that little screen, and they've been too late to get there. So now they shifted over, and that's just an easy read for your quarterback. So, okay, I'm going here now. So it's a pressure situation, especially with that corner this looks like he's about 6 inches shorter than Dwayne anyway.
Second and 10 from the 39. This time breaking free is D. Bowens, and Bowens to the end zone. Another explosive play of 30 or more yards, this one for 39.
When you have athletes like that, Craig, it's a numbers game, and coaches talk about numbers. If you got 6 men in the box, we're going to throw, so and that's just a numbers game out there. They were able to beat Brown, the 13th. They were able to beat him there, and then it's just athletes. And when you got wide receivers like Bowens and Colbert out there playing like they're playing, and then you got the force of Kenyatta in the backfield. I mean, it's tough.
Point kick is there, and 42-7. Carthage 28 unanswered by the Bulldogs after Kennedale had originally pulled to within a touchdown at 14-7. It's time to bring our Texas Farm Bureau Insurance game summary, and the summary is just too much Carthage.
It is. They can hurt you either way. Quarterback's doing a great job putting the ball in the right place when they have to throw it. And then you've always got that weapon in the backside. But the passing game is something that maybe Kennedale hadn't really thought about as much. We've got to stop Keontae, and that's what they tried to do. And then they really got hurt with the speed and the durability of Bowens and Colbert on the outside.
And that was just a series of highlights on D. Bowens. It's almost like you could pick different players to showcase there. And we've just crossed the midway mark of the third quarter, and Carthage has 489 yards of total offense.
Yeah, we're looking at something. We talk about total domination. We're just looking at that, and I don't know if it goes back to the fumble. It's a 21-7 game. Kennedale is driving in the second quarter. Big fumble, big play. 2 days later, it's an emotional game. It's how do you hold yourself, and from that point on, it's really been a game where we've seen Kennedale try, but they've just kind of been back on their heels, and all of a sudden Carthage was able to dial it up and do what they want to do. So right now, their playbook is wide open. They're just reading defenses, reading numbers, and putting the ball where it needs to be. And with great athletes, it's a killer.
This has been authored by that man, Scott Surratt. Remember, we mentioned they won 3 in a row. In 2008, they beat Salina at Texas Stadium in the final high school football game ever played at Texas Stadium. And then in 2009, I know this stings a little bit, but that's you and that's your son, and you guys had a chance to win down 13-12.
We played them as close as anybody, and we had a chance to win. We scored late here with about 12 seconds left in the game. We had lost a kicking game, so we go for 2. And, as a coach, you look back, if I had one play in all my life to call a different play, I'd obviously call a different one because it didn't work. At the time, we thought we had it, but man, that's tough. I'll I'll live with that one. That gave Coach Surratt his number 2. That's a tough graphic to look at from up here. Of course, my son was a quarterback on that team, and a lot of great kids. I saw some of them last week at a game. We had a lot of great memories.
Here's the kickoff. And Larry Brooks will field it. Another thing that Carthage has done well, when they have kicked deep, they have covered their kicks well today. So it's just yet another component of what's been a tremendous football game played by the Bulldogs this afternoon. You know, you mentioned Case playing for you in that game, that 13-12 ball game with a chance to try to win. Colt, of course, played for you in the state championship game with Jim Ned and lost to an outstanding St. Augustine team in a cold, freezing rain, and St. Augustine reached the semifinal round for the first time since that run when they lost last week to Refugio.
And we had this conversation this morning, Craig. You know, it's days like this when in football that I really am jealous of the UIL now playing all in the same place.
First down carry for Deshaun Curvin, and then the ball came out, but he's ruled down.
Both those state championships, one at SMU and both in Dallas, the Dallas area. One was a really cold, rainy day like today that just made the ball bounce funny, and the other one was a freezing game, if you remember, at Ford Field and at SMU, and it's cold night. So, you know, these kind of days, I look and say, what could the outcome been like had we been an indoor venue with those kids?
Well, it is certainly been a hit for fans coming here to AT&T Stadium in Arlington. Curvin lowers the shoulder. That was a big pop there. And he has a first down to the 40-yard line as Deshaun Curvin picks up 12 yards.
And not any quitting him, is there? Curvin's going to, again, I think we're going to see the character of a team here. They're down. They're just playing a really good team. That could fire a team up right there. Let's go. He's going to play. Let's play with him. And back to my last comment, Craig, I don't know if seeing how Carthage is playing today indoor, I don't know if it would have made any difference back then if it would have been indoors.
Indoor, outdoor, grass, turf, sidewalk. Doesn't really seem to bother them one way or the other. Here's a pass to Jaden Smith for a pickup of 4 yards. And they've been able to win in just about any kind of climate or environment. And the attendance, I'm told, is going to approach 25,000 for this morning's game here at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, and they are expecting in excess of 30, maybe 35, maybe even upwards of around 40,000 by the time they play the 5A Division I state championship tonight, and we still have a full day to go.
Yeah, it's a great venue. People can come and watch a lot of great football. You know, and most schools are out of school today for Christmas. They dismiss, so you got a lot of people coming in, and it's filling up even more as we speak as schools let out. So it is a fun place, and even if you're not associated with any of the schools, just to come watch great football and buy a ticket and see 3 or 4 games a day is pretty cool.
Third down coming up. Kennedale with the ball at the 48-yard line. And keeping it. Jowers brought down. Crashing through was Rayvon Ingram, a sophomore, one of those cousins who comes over and makes the tackle there. And actually Cole Whitlock coming in on it. And on Saturday, tomorrow, speaking of defending state champions, there's a couple of them in action. Aledo, the defending state titleist in 5A Division II, taking on College Station. The Cougars in their first ever championship game. That's at 11 a.m. And then how about 10 combined state championships, Allen and Lake Travis in that middle game. We'll show you more about that coming up. Meanwhile, a toss on 4th down, and Deshaun Curvin turns the corner and picks up the first down on the carry of 13 yards.
And he's going to play hard. I think, you know, he has the opportunity now just again for character to start showing, but you got those big linemen. They're used to running just straight forward, but now they're having to change their offensive game plan. They're trying to move a little bit, so linemen are having to move more than they're usually used to. But so it's a character fight that shows up here.
Well, the yards per carry on the ground has been great all season long for Kennedale. And on that Ford leaderboard, trying to add add a little more to the total despite the struggles of the day, and that one only goes for a yard. Michael Gates, the tackle for Carthage.
You know, Craig, something that a lot of people don't see, I know coaches see it too, but you take Carthage right now, and they've been in this game now. They've won it 5 times. They've been in it 7. And so just over the last decade, when these kids were playing and growing up, they've played in 42 extra games. That's over 4 seasons of experience that these kids have had when the other kids have already been playing basketball.
It's a great point. 2nd down and 9. Showers with some time to throw. And that one in and out of the hands of David Roper. Might have been the leap in the air by Cole Whitlock, the safety, that might just for a moment have distracted Roper enough.
I know it. Where was Nathan Otis? That was the same play. He caught a touchdown earlier, but Otis, the tight end, was down there with him, shielding that. So we needed that, but had an opportunity. He'll look back and wish he could have made that catch, gave him a chance. But again, another straight drop back that had a chance to be a big play.
So 3rd down. And 8 needed for the first. To the ground again, and it was Kervin trying to push his blocker in front of him to try to keep it going forward, but it's a minimal gain, and Kennedale will have to go for it again on 4th down.
Yeah, DeJulian did a great job again. That linebacking core, we talk about Brown and Gates a lot, but DeJulian has made a lot of plays today as well, getting free runs.
How about Chris Zerwenga, the tight side guard, getting the little nudge from his running back behind him?
Yeah, so let's go.
They need 6 here. To the air, caught by Kervin. Nice move inside, and it'll be a 1st down. Able to cut inside, because had he gone outside, he might not have been able to pick it up. As it stood, it's an 8-yard gain and a move of the chains.
Yeah, I want to give a lot of props here to Jowers. I mean, he's not a thrower. He knows now he's got to do something. He's got a lot of pressure on him. He still puts the ball in a catchable position. He's had a couple of big drops, Roper here in this series. But, we haven't talked a lot about Evan Jowers and the job he's doing leading this offense. But he's having to do things out of his comfort zone at this point.
Turning this time back to Kervin. Trying to pick his way through traffic, and is able to gain a couple on the final play of the 3rd quarter. Michael Gates and the Carthage Bulldogs 12 minutes away from making it back-to-back state football championships in 4A Division I. Carthage leads 42-7. Over the middle, and the touchdown, and Carthage strikes again. A 20-yard touchdown run. We welcome you back to AT&T Stadium in Arlington. Craig Way, Brad McCoy, Randy McElroy, and our Fox Sports Southwest crew. Keontae Ingram's Carthage Bulldogs with nearly 500 yards of total offense, leading the 4A Division I state championship, looking to make it back-to-back state titles, leading 42-7 over Kennedale. Kennedale trying to get something mounted offensively here, and that's a nice read option keeper there by Evan Jowers upfield before he is brought down by Ahmad Brown. Picked up 6 there, and was looking at the numbers, Brad. We mentioned at the end of the 3rd quarter, Carthage had 489 yards of total offense, and I understood that there was to be no math in this game for me to try to add up, but that's still 14 yards per carry. Here's Kervin, and he takes it, and what a run by Deshaun Kervin. Takes it down to the 9-yard line. He picks up 11 yards. Carthage is averaging just under 14 yards per play. Kennedale at 5 yards per play as you look at Kervin's run again.
And you see why these backs have gotten over 2,000 yards apiece. They're playing really hard. They're not giving up. They're playing against a really, really talented defense. And they're giving they're giving their fans. We're proud. We're a school we got here. Even though we've never been here, we're going to finish this thing. And so I just like the way they play.
This time, Jowers reading it. The keeper, Brown, the tackle, inside the 5 and down to the 4-yard line. And of course, as you pointed out, Brad, this this kind of deficit, well, it's not conducive to any offense. I mean, you're down 35 points in the fourth quarter. It doesn't matter if you throw the ball 200 times a game. It's still not conducive to it, but especially a ground base when it makes it all the more difficult.
Right, and it's been the pressure for them the whole game because they were down 21 early on, and so they haven't been comfortable the whole time. But they've stayed with it, and they've actually stayed with their game plan.
And Curvin is across for the touchdown. Kind of got turned around right at the goal line and fell in for the score.
You know, another thing, there's a great shot of Jowers. You watch your quarterback makes the pitch, and then he gets up in there and gets a piece of a linebacker. That smash play is designed for your quarterback to be a lead back, to be a fullback, and he's done that repeatedly tonight. Done a great job. Allowed his running back to score there.
Deshaun Curvin is a little bit banged up there, needing some help getting to the side. He's carried it 16 times for 80 yards and the score. The extra point kick is good for Kevin Tierro, so a second touchdown for Kennedale. And the Carthage lead is 42-14. Let's send it to John Radigan with a message from our friends at Main Event, who proudly support Texas high school football.
Hi there, we're here with Corey Will. He's the Director of Marketing for Main Event Entertainment. And Corey, we're thrilled to have you as part of our UIL Championship coverage. Why the UIL?
Well, it's great for us. First of all, we're all about young families with kids. And what's exciting for us is those kids grow up and become young adults, playing football, involved in high school, cheerleading, and it's just a natural opportunity for us to stay involved with those families at a longer term.
Yeah, you build relationships with them like the one that we've built with you and with the UIL and with Fox Sports Southwest. It's a pretty good partnership, isn't it?
It's a great partnership. In fact, you know, we love supporting the UIL, and we really appreciate the support we get and the families we reach through Fox Sports Southwest.
Well, we're awfully glad to have you here this weekend and your support all season long as well.
Thank you, John. A little smile there for Deshaun Curvin, but tough go for Curvin and Kennedale. Wildcats do move it 78 yards in 15 plays. And I would imagine Scott Surratt says, hey, if you're going to take 6.5 minutes off the clock to score a touchdown on us, we're okay with that right now.
Yeah, the clock is of no factor to them at this point with that. They're going to play hard. You know, the other thing that Scott's saying right now, you know, we've got about 10 minutes left. He's going to get a couple more really good series and try to score again. And then he's going to start putting some of these kids in that hadn't ever played in a state championship game. He's going to get some of his JV kids that are moved up, get them experience because they did that the last time. So these kids got that when they were freshmen or sophomores, got to play in this game. And so he'll be not only finishing this game strong, but he will also be getting ready for the future as well, getting kids used to this game.
Touchback, ball will come out to the 25. And we'll go down to the sidelines, check in with Randy McElvoy.
Hey, Craig, Carthage is having no problem scoring today, and you're hearing the bell ring here inside the stadium. Here is the bell, and it's simply known as the Bell in Carthage. Everybody knows all about it. It was donated by a Carthage fan, Pat Yarborough, back in the 1950s. This thing's been around. Now, here's the funny part of the story. It actually disappeared for about 4 or 5 years. People in Carthage were worried about it. This was back in the late 1990s. They found it in a pasture there outside of Carthage, and the bell was back in business, but they ring this every time they score, and of course they've been scoring a lot throughout the season and again here today in the state championship game.
Deontay Ingram wrapped up and dropped for a loss by Jamal Marshall. For Carthage, you know, that is a lot of bell ringing there for the touchdown.
Good help there from that tackle, Brett Bustad. We don't call those tackles names enough, but good hustle. And again, it goes back to just playing hard. You know, Coach Barrett's got these guys playing. They're proud. They're glad to be here. They're going to play till the very end. They're not looking at the scoreboard anymore. They're just looking at every play, try to win every play, and play good.
So second down and 17 after that loss of 7 on the play.
Here's your numbers game again. Got a safety kind of helping out the end on top.
Instead, back to the ground to Ingram. Ingram had a touchdown run late in the half on 2nd and 18. Here on 2nd and 17, he'll pick up 13 yards before Mayfield Hayes can wrap him up.
Mayfield appreciates that. Got a shot on Keontae there. He'll remember that one after he missed him a while ago for a big shot. He gets a big tackle on him there. So that keeps the fuel, keeps it going. So now we got a 3rd and 4 or 5.
Long look over to the side for the play call on 3rd down and 4.
Back to your point, Craig. Their time, the clock is something that we're trying to let run out.
Gunner Caps to throw again. Right over the middle. Yet another catch by Colbert, adding to his state record. And right at the 1st down marker. And it is enough for the 1st down.
It's kind of fun to watch. It's kind of crazy when you look at these quarterbacks. You know, I know right now that usually quarterbacks leave a game pretty sore. Gunner Caps may leave this game a little sweaty, but I don't know that he's been knocked down tonight. I don't know if he's been challenged. So he's going to have a great celebration because I don't think he's going to be very sore.
Back to the ground. This guy's not sore. He's gone. Say goodnight to it. Keontae Ingram, 65 yards.
Same play we saw early that set the first half up. Here he is coming back across. Just kicks the defensive end out. I mean, then there's nobody else there. The secondary was rotated over, covering the trip side. And when you got a running back like that, you just can't account for him.
Well, I was about to mention that Keontae Ingram was approaching 100 yards. He's blown past that now. 161 on 14 carries.
Yeah. Again, I know Coach Herman is excited about that at Texas. A lot of these kids, I know he had some Oklahoma commits yesterday, and he's got a lot of kids that are going to further out. You just saw one.
I mentioned all the plays of 30 or more. They have 3 of 60 or more, including that run.
As great teams compete to be number 1, nothing makes us feel more alive than witnessing that amazing moment
Back for the touchdown.
and cheering as one.
Still on his feet, searching for the end zone, and he scores.
In Texas, we have sports everywhere. So turn the game on and join the fun. Take your home teams wherever you go with Fox Sports Southwest and Fox Sports Go.
The 2017 UIL High School Football Championships are brought to you by Ford. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas. By Dairy Queen. For the burgers, baskets, blizzards, and Tex-Mex we love, it's DQ. By Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, proud official sponsor of the UIL. By Baylor Scott & White Health. Find Dr. Wright right now. Visit bswhealth.com/doc. And by Main Event. Head for fun. Main Event Entertainment. Eat, bowl, play.
On an afternoon where Carthage has had a receiver establish a state record for receiving yards in a state championship game, we went into the game talking about Keontae Ingram, and he has reasserted himself after that 65-yard touchdown run.
Yes, he has. It's been a big day. You knew we were going to get back to that. But I think what happened was just the multi-talented team that you have here. Kennedale knew they had to come in and stop. Got a big play here.
Larry Brooks on the return. And that's the first big return that Kennedale has had against Carthage on the kickoff. A nice 47-yard return by Larry Brooks.
Yeah, Brooks is playing hard. So, you know, again, we go back to that. We have to stop. If you're Kennedale, you have to stop Keontae. And I think the backbreaker was they did stop him early. They shut him down, but you know, just on the arm and the legs of the receivers between Bowens and Colbert, you know, they just got down with their passing game, and which allowed then Keontae to come back for the yardage they just had.
Back to work offensively for Kennedale. Jake Knowles carry, and Bulldogs right there at the line of scrimmage. Quentin Owens dropping it for no gain. Carthage defense still working hard.
Yeah, and again, Quentin Owens, we called his name in the first half a couple of times. He's playing that backside defensive end, and he was blocked. He had a guy on him, but he was able to get off the block and make the play. So, when you got a bunch of stars on your team, it makes all your other kids play better. It makes them stars as well, and that's when you see that, you say, yeah, they've got these 3 or 4 kids for Carthage that are big-time D1 players. Well, what happens is that bleeds off into your other kids they may not go play college football, but
please make sure to start the clock. Clock should be running.
Greg Maxwell reminding everybody, hey, we're supposed to be running the clock here. There after the first down was called, and that's Greg and his crew, and like we said, out of the Greater Houston chapter, one of the best in the Lone Star State without question. And not only Greg, but his outstanding crew, Greg DeLuca, the umpire, Jason Manis, the head linesman, Chad Jackson, the line judge. You see the carry there. Larry Metcalf, the back judge, Deion Samuel, the side judge, and Ronnie Barger, the field judge. You have to be really good to be selected for this game as well.
You do, and you call all you're wanting to get. This is a great honor and privilege for these crews to get chosen to come call these games, and this has been a really good crew. I mean, you don't want to challenge any of it. This has been a good. The thing I love about officials when you know they're really good is when you don't know they're in the game.
Yeah. They like it that way too. There's Kerben on the carry on 3rd down. He's going to be short by a couple yards. Ahmad Brown, the tackle, so it'll bring up 4th down. So 4th down coming up. Kennedale has converted both of its 4th down situations this afternoon. They are 2 for 2 in that department. And Wildcats going to call a timeout here.
Timeout. Kennedale. That's their first charge timeout of the half.
Another point on these officiating crews, Greg. As a coach, you're always looking to get rhythm in a game. How does that look? And crews that have a great rhythm, that every play is starting, they get them all at the same time, and the coaches can get used to the call, the play, and the rhythm that goes on. That's a sign of a great crew, that the rhythm stays steady.
And it means a lot to coaches when you guys discuss what chapter of officials that you'd like to select to work a playoff or a state championship game.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's time for our Dairy Queen DQ big play of the game, and with all the big plays on offense, how about Carthage defense?
Yeah, it was a 21-7 game right here. You don't know what would have happened. I know it's a blowout right now, but in 21-7, Kennedale is going in to score. They're on the 25. The big fumble happens. They get a big pass play. Two plays later, they get a long pass play with a run and go up 28-7, and that was really a backbreaker. So we talked about offenses, but it is great defensive plays that make those things happen. And where the game would be if that fumble hadn't happened, they go in to score, make it 21-14. We'll never know. But that was a big turning and a momentum slide, especially mentally for Kennedale.
Good chance Mike L. Gates could be selected by the media as the defensive MVP. Those will be announced at the end of the game. To the ground on 4th down. And it's not going to work this time. Jaden Knowles was stopped a yard short.
And there's Brown again. Again, you said Gates, and there was Brown on the next play. That tandem linebacker group, they started the day with 309 tackles between them, and they're going to end it with about 349, I believe. Lots of help, lots of swarm, going the wrong way. Again, they've just played really well tonight. I think sometimes you look at a great offense with the weapons that they have, and it's like Coach Surratt said. He was very quick to say it at halftime. He said, our defense plays. We hang our hat on our defense.
Back to work offensively for Carthage. Keontae Ingram, another opportunity. Trying to pick his way through traffic, and did a pretty good job of that before he was driven back. Kennedale getting to him. Avion Jenkins, the tackle. But of course, clock continues to run as we just crossed the halfway mark of this final quarter. And Scott Surratt, I believe, is going to make a wholesale substitution here, Brad.
Yes, he is. We talked about that earlier, Craig. This is a sweet time. I love it when this happens. You get to put some young kids in the game. You celebrate those seniors when they come out and those kids. And all of a sudden now, these kids coming in the game, they're not here to down the ball. These kids want to play. And next year, when we come back here, if they're back, you're going to see those kids right there leading this team. And part of it is because they got to play in so many playoff games and in this position. They got to delay a game there, but you know what? It really didn't matter to Scott. This is something he wants. Oh, okay, they got the timeout before the delay.
Yeah, to go ahead and make the change, and they're already planning to have the headlines read a 6-time state champion, and Keontae Ingram will be a 2-time state champion back-to-back, and Gunnar Capps will have the opportunity to come back next year and play his senior season with an opportunity perhaps go for another title.
Absolutely. Now, again, you look at, I said it earlier, over the last run that they've had, it's 42 extra games. That's 4 seasons that these young kids have got to play more than other people are getting to play. And so it makes a difference. And now these kids are getting experience and AT&T Stadium to play in a game, and when they get their ring, they can say, yeah, I blocked it, I ran it, I played it, I played in the game. You know, much like Coach Miller's son can say last night, which I want to just say this on air, Craig, you did a tremendous job last night with Coach Miller, and that whole situation like we talked about today, it couldn't have happened better if we'd have scripted it. But for that young man to come in and get to play an actual down in a state championship game, that's a memory that will last forever for that dad and that son and that community. And same things with some of these kids. It's just a memory and getting to play and getting some reps that make you familiar with it next time.
I think everybody who understood or learned the story was touched by the story. Tucker Smith on the carry there to bring up 4th down. And what Brad is referring to is last night, yesterday evening in the 3A Division I state championship game, and that's Jeff Miller, the head coach of the Rockdale Tigers, and that's his son Gunnar, fighting bone cancer and surgery that ended his playing career before his senior season. But the plan all along was, as he had been a student coach, was to get him in uniform and it was a big if they were going to win and had a victory formation situation. And that's what they wound up, and a couple of things had to happen, and they did happen. And Gunnar Miller was able to take the final snap of that football game, to handle it, to play it down, the final down in a state championship victory for his school. Upfield, nice run, moving on the carry that time by Anthony Wilson, the sophomore quarterback. There is a flag down, however.
Going to get a hold there. It's fun to watch the Carthage sideline. All those senior kids, they're rooting on these young kids. That's fun. But, you know, Craig, I was in the hotel last night. I wasn't here at the stadium, and I was watching the broadcast. And I'm telling you, as a dad, I was emotional. I teared up. I mean, that was something that was just unbelievably special for that to be able to happen for that family and for that community. So the timing was great. You handled that really well. Fox did an incredible job covering that, and again, the replay today. So that's just a special time.
And the ongoing story about that, and the lesson is, as we said, it's one example of why we all love and appreciate this game the way we do, because this game, yeah, it's about, you know, trying to have big moments and score points and touchdowns and win games, but it's also about town, team, community, all of those sorts of things. And Carthage is a living example of it, as is Kennedale.
Carthage.
Yeah.
It's their second charge timeout in the house.
Bulldogs take the timeout there to get organized on offense. But here's a team that's about to win its 6th state championship in a decade.
Right.
That is Carthage's third and final timeout of the game.
I want to just make sure everybody watching this understands. You know, a lot of times you'll say, why are they calling a timeout now? They're up 49-14. You know, Coach Surratt is just trying to make sure every kid on that sideline gets in the game. Somehow, some way, every kid gets in. I may have to call timeout. He's not going to run the score up. He's trying to honor his team, his town. So sometimes we look at that like, well, why is he doing that? But this is just simply, he's got the opportunity to do that.
A whole lot of guys who have sophomore beside their name on the roster that are getting in the ball game, and now it'll be a punt for the Bulldogs. Nice kick that's away by Tucker Smith, and that'll take a bounce and then fielded there, and flag's going to come down after a fair catch had been originally indicated. Larry Brooks fielding that one.
You know, it's a long list, Greg. When you look at the most state championships, you know, you've got obviously Katy up there with 8, and Richland Springs, dominant power.
Number 21 of the receiving.
6-man, South Lake Carroll.
5-yard penalty. First down.
There's several of our blue blood schools, like you guys talked about, Lake Travis, Converse, Judson, Dangerfield, Odessa Permian, that have 6 state championships. Well, Carthage is fixing to move into that group of 6 and join those folks for moving up that lane. So the most we have is 8. Carthage is fixing to move to 6.
Yeah, it is a long and storied list of some of the most historic programs in over 100 years of high school football in this state. There's the first down play to Knowles. Still working hard, as all of those Wildcats are, and he'll reach the 26-yard line, brought down by Ahmad Brown. It's a gain of 8.
I was just going to say, he probably wasn't going to play seconds on defense, but yeah, he is. He started with 1 play. Now you've got his young kids coming back, again, opportunities to play with these kids. And, you know, it's not going to make any difference at this point what happens. It's just giving those kids a great opportunity to play. And obviously Kennedale is going to keep playing hard as well.
And the keep right there by Towers. He goes down. Well, we mentioned, of course, great state championship history compiled by schools like Richland Springs in the 6-man division with 8, Katy with 8. Also in the roster of 8, South Lake Carroll. And those are 6A programs. Salina at the 4A division accumulated a lot of those early. Aledo is going for number 8 tomorrow. Abilene sitting on 7, the old Warbirds. Plano Senior High with 7. Brownwood, the Immortal program, coached by Gordon Wood, with 7 state titles as well. And that's just those who have had 8 and 7. That long list there. Scott Surratt's about to get his 6th, and there's a long list of 6.
There is, and there's some great programs in there, like Westlake and like Odessa Permian and Waco, and so yeah, those programs have been stalemate programs for a long time, and again, Scott is putting himself into that category with a great group of kids here from Carthage.
After the 5-yard carry on first down, it's 2nd down and 5, and that's going to be incomplete. It'll bring up 3rd down and 5. Roper, the intended target.
I know we're calling this game from the Kennedale side, so this crowd has been enthusiastic all night, even through the second half, and they're very quiet right now. But I tell you what a great group of kids, great community. They've never been here. They played really well. They've got into kind of a buzzsaw here, but you know, they got nothing to hang their hats about to get here and how they played, and they'll be back again because they got a great coaching staff.
Up the field, nice move by David Roper to move the chains of the first down. Well, you brought that up, Brad. There are several returning players. The quarterback, Evan Jowers. Deshaun Curvin will be back. Jaden Knowles will move on, but Jaden Smith is back. There are several also other members. They'll graduate several key members of that offensive line. And then on the defensive side, they've got some juniors and sophomores who'll be returning next year to play. Here's Curvin up the sideline, and Curvin tight roping his way and out of bounds in Carthage territory for a first down, and that will take the football down to the 29-yard line.
Yeah, Roper does a good job getting out in front of that, and they're just they're doing what they do. We haven't seen them get out of their game plan, even as behind. They've stayed with what got them here. And you know, it's interesting this year, Craig. We've got several wing T power game teams that are in the tournament this year. That it's a little bit different. You usually see a lot more spread, but we've got one wing team here.
A battle there on the sideline for possession. Jaden Smith with DeAndre Bowman, a sophomore, who's having to defend the 6'6" receiver.
Yeah, the little height disadvantage. Saw a great jump ball last night. Just couldn't get his feet quite under him. But they're playing hard. And I'm telling you what, he's outsized and outmanned. But DeAndre Bowman is playing hard there with that oversized guy.
Under a minute to go in the ball game, and Kennedale trying to see if they can put one more in to draw a little closer. Hand it to Roper. Roper inside the 10 and down to the 5-yard line. David Roper running hard for 24 yards. First and goal, Kennedale.
Little misdirection. Came back inside, and we've talked about their great linebacking duo of Brown and Gates, and they're on the bench right now, and so it just shows you that misdirection really hurts. Just goes back to tell you how talented their starting linebackers are in not only abilities, but watching film, prepping, looking for what they need to look for as we start seeing plays develop.
Kennedale will use a timeout here with 17 seconds left. So this is game number 1, the second game of the Friday state championship tripleheader here at AT&T Stadium. It's quite the contrast, similar to what we had in the first game in terms of the contrast of experience in this game. West Orange Stark, 2-time defending state champion with a 40-game winning streak, taking on the Pleasant Grove Hawks from the Texarkana area, who will not be intimidated. They have played very well all season long, unbeaten. Be interesting to see how they respond in this environment. Then tonight, the 5A Division I state championship matchup. Highland Park, the Scots, the defending state titleists against Manville. Great coaches in that one. Outstanding coaches throughout this tournament. And I think of Randy Allen at Highland Park, and Kirk Martin at Manville, and Cason Martin, his son, at quarterback. Right. John Stephen Jones at quarterback for Highland Park. It'll be a lot of fun.
Right. Yeah, it's fun. We've got a lot of, we've had the father-son thing. We talked about it. There's a lot more of it to come. And grandfather-son, I guess you could say.
Yeah, there you go. Grandfather, grandson. Second down and 4. Into Doles. Goes to the goal line and across for the touchdown. Some memory there for Jaden Knowles to score here in a state championship game. His final carry as a high school football player.
Probably so, and good for him. Again, his buddy in the backfield, just leading his way. Then again, 2 great runners with over 2,000 yards apiece, but they're also blocking for each other, helping those things happen.
In there for the extra point. There you see Knowles.
Yeah, we've been calling Dijon, I guess, on that, but
that's his name.
It's now we've got DJ in there too.
That's
so
how you can say it.
I guess we could if people haven't understood that, I guess he goes by DJ as well.
Deshaun and DJ, and the extra point kick good.
Exactly. I listened to the broadcast. You had a special name yesterday. I laughed when you read off why he was called what he was called. But it's fun. That's one of the human interest stories in these games, to be able to talk about kids and coaches and what made those up. And I was talking to Coach Surratt this week about his dad, loved baseball, and him and 2 brothers, and he gave them all baseball names like Musial and Mantle, and just things that make it really fun to know. That makes it human. These coaches, these kids, they're human beings, just like the rest of you that don't play football. They're just out here trying to play hard.
Well, while it may wind up being disappointment for DJ, Deshaun Kirby, and Jaden Knowles, they had incredible memories of the best season ever in Kennedale High School football. And
exactly. And you know what? If they want to go play, if a kid wants to go play and has that kind of talent, they can go play somewhere. May not be the school of your dreams, but if you want to play and get an education, there's people out there that would love to have you.
This one will be brought out from a yard deep by Dylan Leach who brings it out.
Dylan said, hey, look, I just caught a kickoff in the state championship. I'm not going to a knee. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to run this for something.
Well, right when the game started, when the game was about to start, I saw some fans on the Carthage side, and it's got to be folks, parents who are holding up a sign that said Dylan Leach, number 47. So they're glad to see the young man get an opportunity to return a kick.
Yes, no kneeling for me. I am running the football. I'm gonna be in the stat sheet.
This will be the final play of the game and of the season. Boy, that's a great moment right there, isn't it?
Boy, again, you can't put money on that. The favorite play, the victory play.
The kneel down, and that'll do it. 6 state championships, back-to-back state titles in 4A Division I for the Carthage Bulldogs, who win it 49-21 over Kennedale.
Great scene, sportsmanship. Nobody does it like Texas, in my opinion. Just the camaraderie of the game. These kids know what they came from. One team's elated, one team's really hurting, but the sportsmanship is there. Coaches, you see the coaches all shaking hands and understanding. They'll all be going to clinics together next month and sitting down in coaching rooms talking about the different things and the way they can all get better. So the camaraderie and the sportsmanship, and a lot of that goes back to the UIL and how they format that, and all the sponsors that you've seen have always talked about, that sportsmanship. That's why they want to sponsor it.
Let's go down to the field. Randy McEvoy with head coach Scott Surratt.
Hey, thanks, Craig. Very happy. Scott Surratt, I saw you hugging your son on the sidelines. It's a long season. You want to get to this point. You guys finish the deal.
Oh, yeah. It's like an NFL season. We've had a lot of these things. We know we're very fortunate. And, one of my great friends in the world is W.T. Johnson getting one last night. It's been a special weekend, but I do have to disagree with him one thing. He said Newton's the best place. That's Carthage. He made it Newton second.
6 state titles. Can you put that into words? You keep climbing the charts. So much success here at Carthage. Smart move there.
Yeah. Well, my wife, she's the sunshine of my life. Anyway, it's crazy, man. It's just, it's hard to explain when you do something over and over and over. And it's a lot of hard work. You got to give the credit to my coaches. Yep. My administration, Dr. Hammer. There's nobody better than him. I can promise you that. And he's made it happen. And then you go to the players. Great players, obviously, but they've got great attitude and come ready to work.
You guys put 49 on the board. That gets the headlines. But as a coach, you look at that job your defense did today against a potent offense from Kennedale.
Well, I told you before the game, we're very proud of our defense, and the first thing we did when we got there, we started with defense. And you got to hang your hat on defense. You can't outscore everybody, and boy, they play well. Like Coach Preston's my best friend. He can coach defense, bro. He's defense coordinator. It's unbelievable.
Lastly, you're about to lift up that trophy. I know that never gets old. Every year's a new group of players, and the mission is the same at Carthage.
Well, there's no question. We set the bar in 2008, and we'll be disappointed if it don't happen next year. But we're going to enjoy the moment and have a great weekend, watch the rest of the games, and do a little Christmas shopping. It's going to be fun.
Go celebrate.
Thanks,
congratulations. Scott Surratt, state champion, number 6. Hugging the wife. Back to you, Craig.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Randy. Good to see priorities in order. Going to get some Christmas shopping done, he said. Now that that's out of the way, got that second consecutive 4A Division I crown. And the 6th overall state championship. Going to announce the offensive and defensive MVP, and we've been told the offensive MVP is the guy who's down on the field with Randy right now, quarterback Gunnar Capps. Randy?
Tell you what a game he had, Craig. Gunnar Capps with us now, and talking about the tradition here at Carthage. When you step foot in this program, the bar is raised. You've been a part of it, another state champion.
Oh, yes, sir. There's always big expectations with this coaching staff and this team and this community, and so we just got to go to work every day and practice like we can and get things done like we did today.
Talk about the start you guys had. That was important today against a very good Kennedale team. You jumped out to a 14-point lead. That was key early.
Yes, sir. We knew they were going to show us some stuff we hadn't seen all year, and so we had to prepare hard all week and get ready for it and just come out on top.
All right, you're in the state championship game. I know you script kind of how you want to perform. You had 4 touchdowns today. Not too bad, huh?
Yes, sir. It was a lot of fun, and couldn't have done it without those big guys up front and the playmakers outside.
How about a shout out for you defense? And you're on the offensive side, but it's a two-way game here. The defense really stepped up against a Kennedale team that has been dominant all season long. Nice job by that unit.
Yes, sir. They've been unbelievable all year long and stopping offenses that are basically unstoppable and just doing their job.
All right, the community, big crowd here. They're all here to support you guys. Number 6 in program history. That says a lot, and you're part of it.
Yes, sir. It's a big privilege.
Very good. Go celebrate with your teammates. Gunnar Capps, what a game he had as quarterback of Carthage. Again, Craig, 4 touchdowns in their big 49-21 win. Back to you.
This is how good he was. He completed 75% of his passes, 15 to 20, 288 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he just had a tremendous game there, and then utilized his receivers and backs very well.
He really did. I mean, what a great game it was called by both coordinators. You know, Scott mentioned his defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator did a great job as well. And to my point earlier, did you see Capps? He didn't even look like he
had broken a sweat.
No, his hair was still. I mean, I'm telling you, that offensive line doesn't get enough credit because he wasn't in a sweat. He was in the protected pocket all night long. He knew what to do when he got that cut. So anyway, that's a great team win. You got to have a quarterback. Every team has to have a trigger man, and that was him tonight. Capps did a great job. But the people around him, and he gave the credit to his big offensive line and the skilled guys outside. Kind of made it easy for him today, to be honest, and he took advantage of that.
Well, they're presenting the MVP awards to the offensive and defensive most valuable players of this 4A Division I state championship, and that was a pretty easy one to figure out there as well for the voters. Michael Gates, and a great game he had.
Absolutely. You knew it had to be one of those great linebackers, Brown or Gates, but Michael did a great job. He was in on tackles everywhere on the field. Again, I will go back to say that he needs to hand that to those 2 defensive tackles that are up in front of him, because there wasn't a guard or a center that got on Michael all night long because of the play of those 2 defensive tackles, and he knows that. And somebody's got to be an MVP. But I'm telling you, there's a lot of other things that go into who got it. But he's a great linebacker, great instinct, and he made a lot of tackles tonight.
Michael Gates will officially end the season with 167 tackles.
Incredible. Incredible.
Now for the offensive MVP. Well, we kind of gave you the spoiler alert with it, with the day he had through the air, completing 15 of 20 passes for 288 yards and 2 touchdowns on a day when you could have gone a variety of directions here, with Makai Colbert setting a record with 190 receiving yards. It is Gunnar Capps who receives the offensive MVP honor.
It is, and some people may be saying, well, how did that happen? You got to set a record. You got this kid that ran for 170, but you got to have a guy that's making it all work. So a lot of things intrinsically that Capps does to make that happen in order to make all the other players play well around him. So the quarterback position does that when you have a kid like that plays at the level he played tonight.
Yeah, and we mentioned Keontae Ingram this afternoon, 15 carries for 164 yards and 3 touchdowns. So you could have taken your choice of many, but maybe the trigger man's the best selection there, as picked by the media. Now the awarding of the trophies. First, the state runner-up trophy to Kennedale. And the Wildcats will have that presented to them, and then we'll have the state championship trophy presented to the Carthage Bulldogs. But Kennedale, yes, it'll be disappointing today. When they step back from it after this, they're going to be proud of themselves and the season they had. Historic season there in southern Tarrant County, with the most wins ever, the deepest postseason run ever to reach the first ever state championship game.
Yeah, and it's hard today. It really is hard. I've accepted that second place trophy a couple of times, and it is a hard thing, and it'll sting for several days. But time's going to heal that, and you're going to look at that big trophy in your office and in your trophy case. These kids are going to hang those medals around their neck, and there's going to be a sense of pride.
And now Carthage, with its state championship trophy being presented to the school, something they've gotten accustomed to doing there in Panola County. 6 titles back-to-back in 4A Division I. They've had one three-peat from 08 through 2010. There'll be those asking if they can have a second three-peat coming up next year. But as Scott Surratt said, we're going to enjoy this one right now.
Yeah, same breath, though, he said, but we're going to expect to win it next year, too. I mean, it all kind of goes together. So, yeah, when you're at a place like Carthage or a Westlake or a Katy, I mean, that is, if you don't win it, there's a disappointment factor.
And for Carthage, as the pose with the trophy, it's all a part of this word that we've become acquainted with and associated with winning football programs. It's the word culture, and the culture of winning, the habit of winning.
Absolutely, and the definition of culture simply is the collective behaviors within a group. I mean, when you look at culture, it's the collective behaviors within that football team, that coaching staff that creates that culture. And for coaches, I always tell them, you create culture by what you allow or disallow. And so I've been around the Carthage program for a while now, and I know what their coaching staff allows and doesn't allow and what they expect. And it creates the culture that you see. Doesn't hurt to have great athletes, don't get me wrong, but they lead it in the right direction.
You create the culture, and then the athletes feed that culture.
Exactly.
It's been fun. Enjoyed it, Brad. And it is Carthage winning the state championship. The Carthage Bulldogs defeat the Kennedale Wildcats 49-21. For Brad McCoy and for Randy McElvoy and our entire Fox Sports Southwest crew, I'm Craig Way. UIL State Championship action continues coming up at 3 o'clock with a 4A Division II title game between the Pleasant Grove Hawks and the West Orange Stark Mustangs. Stay tuned. Ford Championship Live is coming up next with Rick Renner, Greg Tepper, and Randy Rogers. Carthage champions again.
Bulldogs spark up the perfect 16-0 perfect season in the battle of 3 2,000 yards running backs. Well, one was better than two. Longhorn-bound Keontae Ingram put on a show. It takes Carthage to the promised land. Back-to-back titles. Wow. How about it? Scott Surratt has won more state title games than he's lost playoff games as we welcome you in to Ford Championship Live. Rick Renner alongside the usual suspects on the far side, the Godfather, the czar of recruiting, the great Randy Rogers, and the most powerful man in print, the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine, Greg Tepper. I'm Rick Renner. Well, guys, you look at Carthage, they go back-to-back. Scott Surratt now 6-0 in state title games.
That's the best pound-for-pound football team in Texas. I don't think there's really any doubt that what the show they put on today was an emphatic capper on what has been a dominant season, Randy, and they did it in pretty much every single way. It was impressive.
Yeah, I thought an outstanding job of coaching by Carthage, both offense and defense. Offensively, basically a clinic on how to count numbers. You heard Brad McCoy talk about it during the telecast, but counting numbers on when to throw, when to pass, when to throw deep, when to throw the bubble screen, when to do all that, and all of it worked.
Let's take a look at the highlights as Beast, Texas comes to the DF Dub and meet one of the teams from the DF Dub. Kennedale, two great running games coming in. Opening drive, Bulldogs facing a 3rd and 9. Gunner Caps to Dwaylen Ingram, a 14-yard score. Ingram able to haul it in, 7-0 Bulldogs.
And the question was, could they be multi-threat? And Gunner Caps had a whale of a game. This was just the beginning.
Then later in the first, it was all Carthage, 3rd and 10. Caps looking deep here and connecting to Mekhi Colbert. He had a huge game, 8 grabs, 191 yards. The Bulldogs began the game a perfect 5 for 5 on 3rd downs. Carthage up 14-0 after 1.
Well, their ability to throw the deep ball loosened up that Kennedale secondary and their linebackers, and then that paid big dividends for Keontae Ingram later on.
Then in the second quarter, finally Kennedale gets on the board. Evan Jowers with powers to Big David Roper. There were like 4 guys there. 37-yard score. Roper makes the catch. Why didn't they throw more?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, this is not a throwing offense. They run the wing T, but 2 guys basically run the same route, and 90 kind of boxes out the defender, and touchdown Kennedale.
It's a 7-point game. Then the ensuing Carthage possession. Cats airing it out to D. Bowens in the no-ins. 39 yards and brought down. What a perfect pass.
Yeah, perfect pass it is. I mean, there's a small window to get it in there, and he gets it in there to Bowens.
Then later in the drive, Keontae Ingram running in from 20 yards out. 21-7 Bulldogs. Bulldogs, and he was having his way.
Yeah, and he would continue it here. And this shows you everything you need to know about Keontae Ingram. The balance, the vision, the breakaway speed. This kid is special.
41 yards on the touchdown. Ingram ran for 87 yards, 2 touchdowns in the first half. And Carthage is up 28-7 after the tiptoe down the sidelines at halftime. Third quarter, more of the same. Gunner Capps will air it out to Bowens. This one, a 76-yard touchdown. Capps threw for 365, 3 touchdowns. Carthage is up 35-7.
Yeah, they just could do no wrong, Rick. A nice play action pass. They faked it to Ingram, and then a long pass. I mean, he really showed a great deep arm, Greg.
Yeah, it was really impressive, and he was on the money over the top all day long.
Later in the third, Capps will get it to Bowens, and he will find some room. He's difficult in space, 39 yards out.
It's Beast Texas speed, man. This is uncut speed, and there's nothing you can do about that. You better make the exact right angle, or else he is going to make you pay, and it was all Bulldogs today.
4 catches for 135 yards. Carthage up 42-7. And Ingram will go for 65 yards here. His third of the game. He had 15 carries for 163 yards, and he put up the hook'em horns up there. Not signed officially, but verbally committed.
Well, just an effortless runner. Just an effortless runner.
I mean, look at this. He can do it all. He's the complete running back, and I think there's a reason that everyone is really excited to see what he can do at the next level.
And congratulations to Beast Texas. Carthage goes back-to-back. Let's hear from Keontae Ingram, who's standing by with Randy McElvoy.
All right, thanks. We're with one of the stars from Carthage, Keontae Ingram. First off, congratulations. Tell me what this means to you. Another state championship, pretty common in Carthage, but you're a part of another one.
Oh, man, it feels awesome. You know, this is what we work hard for, you know, training hard in the off season, you know, and I know Coach been hard on us, but you see it paid off, so it's working.
What's it mean to be a player in this program where the bar is raised so high for especially the young players that come in? They know what's happened prior to their arrival. They know the expectations are there when you step foot in this program.
You know, it's a lot of expectation, even as a youngin'. You know, going into practice, you know, being on scout team defense, you know, they got a lot of impact as well. So, you know, having guys like that and having that impact in their mind at such a young age, you know, the ball's over next year. So
3 touchdowns for you today. You look at a state championship game, that's a pretty good way to go out. Huh?
Oh, yes, sir, most definitely. But, you know, we did it as a team, so.
Very good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Keontae Ingram, part of a state champion here with Carthage. Back to you.
Thank you, Randy Mack. Let's take a look at the Texas Farm Bureau game, Texas Farm Bureau Insurance game summary of this one. And wow, you got to look at the total yards. This is record-breaking. 579 total yardage for Carthage.
And here's the thing. That's a really good Kennedale defense. In fact, the 9th best defense statistically in 4A Division I. But Carthage, just in all phases of the game, especially offensively, they just couldn't do anything wrong.
No, I agree with you. They had a really good game plan on how to mix up the jet sweep wide screen versus the deep ball versus the runs of Ingram. They loosened the linebackers out of there. They created some space. It was almost like every button they wanted to push, they pushed.
You know, the other thing about that, we haven't talked a ton about the defense, but that's a tremendous defensive effort as well against a very good, the #1 scoring offense in 4A Division I. And Carthage shuts them down, basically. And it comes down to penetration up front. They got the buck sweep shut down, which is a game, well, that's a play that Kennedale needs to go for 5-6 yards. That opens up the trap play up the middle. But Carthage was all over it. It was that speed defensively and getting penetration on a good Kennedale offensive line.
Yeah, I thought early Carthage did a really good job of setting the edge on the wide plays. And so all those misdirection plays that Kennedale likes to run, they never were able to bounce it outside. They never, Curvin and Knowles, 2 outstanding running backs with speed, but they never got to the edge. They never got in the open field.
And with that, let's take a look at our Baylor Scott and White health diagnosis of this one. And I tell you what, you guys are talking about that defense. You know, you think about Jaden Knowles and DJ Curvin. They came into this game combined over 4,000 yards rushing and 80 touchdowns. How was Carthage able to slow that down?
It's that front 7, and they're just getting great penetration, getting off blocks. And the other thing is, again, that buck sweep there is so critical to what they want to do. When they hand the ball off the edge to Curvin, they expect him to be able to get the edge, but Carthage simply would not let helped them get there. That's a big reason why they're state champions.
Yeah, a good effort about penetration from the interior people, but also coming off the edge, making sure the buck sweep didn't bounce outside, okay, and it really, really shut that running game down.
And you know, one more thing that I think is super interesting about this is that defending the wing tee is basically assignment football. And so, yes, we can talk about how good the Carthage defensive players were, but they were so well coached as well, because they have to be in position, because otherwise the wing tee will eat you alive.
Scott Surratt, 47-5 in the playoffs in this run of 6 state championships in 9 years. Pretty impressive. But, boy, you're looking back-to-back years, the horse that pulls the wagon. Keontae Ingram, who's going to be playing his college ball with the Texas Longhorns. Fantastic. 15 carries, 163 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And, you know, I think he had a little pride in this one because he was taking on 2,000-yard running backs on the other side, and he was the one that was standing with the trophy at the end.
Yeah, and I thought the other thing about this, Rick, is that he was patient. They had to come out. They decided to throw the football early in the game. He wasn't getting many carries the first quarter. He didn't have any stats the first quarter. It just took some time, and now you see him begin to bounce those off-tackle runs and the ones up the middle.
And he mentioned in his post-game interview with our buddy Randy McElvoy, I mean, the offensive line, how well were they blocking up front against a good Kennedale front? They were opening up holes that allowed him to have a big game late, you know, when they needed him, and that was the difference. I mean, basically this was an all-around dominant effort, and I'll tell you that Scott Surratt, what he's built at Carthage, we got to start talking about him as maybe the best coach in Texas high school football, and that's certainly saying something.
Might be the best in history.
Yeah.
Definitely the most prolific in such a short amount of time, and knows how to win that state title game as they go now 6 for 6. You know, you look at Keontae Ingram. This has been a 72-hour early signing period. We talked about it at halftime, Randy Rogers, and you know, you look at Keontae. We're hearing that he's not going to sign early to Texas. Does that mean the door's open for maybe some other schools to get in there and try to get him?
Well, whether it's open or not depends on what he wants. If he wants to leave the door open, it can. The fact that he is unsigned as of tonight, tonight's the window closed tonight. The fact he's unsigned means he's back out in the water, and that doesn't mean he'll not sign with the Texas Longhorns in February, but oh my gosh, if you're a college coach and you're looking for a running back, you saw a pretty damn good one on display here. Okay, and he's still available, folks. He's still available if he doesn't sign.
So there's a difference between uncommitted and unsigned, right?
I think there's a difference between unsigned and verbally committed.
You've been burned enough in the past by verbal commitments. Verbal commitments, I should say, are non-binding. If you don't know that, I can verbally commit to anybody, but until I put pen to paper, I'm not signed.
And the other term is the fact that there's such thing as a soft commitment and a hard commitment. Commitment is a commitment, but none of it counts unless you put your name on that dotted line.
Well, if Ingram doesn't sign with Texas, that would be kind of a surprise. That last touchdown, he threw up the hook'em horn. I think it's pretty much a done deal, but, you know, make a bigger deal out of it to be able to sign in February and do it around his classmates and all that. A lot of kids are out of school and can't really celebrate that with their classmates by signing early.
Well, nobody knew how to play this early signing period because this is the first one, and next year will be totally different because there are things that are going to change for the class of 2019 between now and then. But nevertheless, particularly for those teams that were playing here in the state finals, and we're going to see Manville later on this afternoon, they have a whole bunch of guys that did not sign. So everybody playing a little bit different. We'll see how it all works out come February.
Makai Colbert was another big star in this game for Carthage. Put one of the most incredible receiving days we have ever seen on the 4A level in a state championship game. 8 catches, 191 yards, and a touchdown. What a weapon.
Yeah, you see a 4A state championship game record, 191 yards. And this kid, the speed that he showed and the ability to change directions on a dime. There's a difference between speed and quickness, and he had both of them today.
Yeah, if this is a track meet here, and Carthage wins all the sprint events today.
And that really opened things up for Keontae, don't you think?
Yeah, they had to take deep shots. And once they did that, then all of a sudden that had the Kennedale defense kind of scrambling, that you're going to have to cover up close with your front seven to slow down Keontae Ingram. You can't commit more guys to the box to slow him down. You have to respect the defense or the passing game over the top. And so those were really critical passes completed earlier in the game, Randy, because it loosened up that defense and it made Kennedale respect both the pass and the run.
Yeah, I think it's pick your poison. I think Kennedale had to do some things to try to force turnovers because they knew they couldn't outscore Carthage, and so they had to find ways to shut them down. They weren't able to do that. Give Carthage the credit for executing the plays that they needed to kind of break their back.
Speaking of turnovers, let's catch up to the defensive MVP in this one, Mikhail Gates, who's standing by with Randy McElvoy.
All right, thanks. We're with star linebacker, the MVP on the defensive side, Mikhail Gates. And wow, another state championship. This never gets old, does it?
No, sir. No, sir. We knew we had to come out here and play hard. We knew that was going to try to run the ball. And as long as we stopped the run, we knew we had a good chance of winning.
This offense gets so much attention, deservingly so. But talking to Coach before this game, he said, hey, our defense is pretty good, too. You guys had a pretty good challenge with Kennedale, and y'all answered the call tonight.
Yes, sir. We knew if our D-line played big, it'll leave us up to make the tackles. Any tackle, a good tackle, and that's what we came out here and did tonight.
This is the 6th state title in program history. Kind of size up what that means for this community and this program.
It's a big thing. Everybody expected us to win, and we knew we had to come out here and do it.
And how are you going to celebrate?
Going home, and I'm going to see my granny.
There you go. Give her a hug.
Yeah, I'm a big hug.
Mikhail Gates, your defensive MVP for the state champion, Carthage Bulldogs. Back to you.
He knew the right thing to say, am I right?
It's a smart man. It's a very smart man. Christmas is coming.
Yeah,
okay, that man knows.
Granny's got some cookies baked for him now.
Boy, how about his effort? You know, it's easy to talk about defense when you're around West Orange Stark, you know, Pleasant Grove, who we're going to see coming up in games here at AT&T Stadium today. But this effort on defense by Carthage is really legendary.
The sideline-to-sideline speed that you saw, you know, we talked about wanting to stop this Kennedale offense up the middle, but getting out to the outside and not letting them set the edge, because this Kennedale offense, it's hard to simulate in practice, and they basically had 1 week to prepare to face a wing tee that they haven't faced since they saw Gladewater in week 1, and this is a very different team than Gladewater, but they were able to stay sound in assignment football and come up with a win.
Yeah, assignment football is exactly right, Greg. Is it all the misdirection, the cross keys, all that stuff. Carthage had 2 outstanding linebackers. Mikhail Gates gets the MVP, but Ahmad Brown also played an outstanding game. He was a double-digit tackler today. So if you're going to stop the wing tee, your defensive line has to get penetration, mess up all the blocking angles, and then it frees your linebackers to flow and run to the football. And that's exactly what you saw out of Gates and Brown this afternoon.
And the thing is, for this Kennedale team, they're so reliant on running the ball that once they were behind and they had to chase, passing's just not what they do. Yes, they threw a touchdown pass, and that's fantastic, but in the end, that was it. Once they slowed down that wing tee, they really didn't have a viable plan B.
Yeah, you saw yesterday a couple of games where teams got behind and then they were able to come back and win because they were explosive teams. And as you said, that's not what Kennedale is. Kennedale is run the football, downhill, misdirection, grind up the yardage. You looked at the final stats, their rushing stats, and Carthage were remarkably the same. The first downs were remarkably the same. The difference was the Carthage was able to utilize their speed to get big, long-range touchdowns.
Yeah, and you think about it, a lot like a game yesterday with Gunner, the defending champs, they kept running the ball. They don't like to pass, so they just kept trying to run, and it just didn't happen. Perfect game plan by Carthage.
Well, you run out of time at some point to run the football.
Let's take a time out here on Ford Championship Live. We're just getting the party started. Game 1 is complete of 3 today. We will continue to celebrate Carthage's 6-time state championship bling, and we'll look ahead to the rest of this fantastic Friday that culminates tonight with You the Manville and Highland Park.
The 2017 UIL High School Football Championships are brought to you by Ford. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas. By Dairy Queen. For the burgers, baskets, blizzards, and Tex-Mex we love, it's DQ. By Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, proud official sponsor of the UIL. By Baylor Scott & White Health. Find Dr. Wright right now. Visit bswhealth.com/doc. And by Main Event. Head for fun. Main Event Entertainment. Eat, bowl, play.
Last year, Carthage was a third-place finisher in district. They got it on a roll and won it all. This year, absolutely no doubt, wire-to-wire number 1, as Keontae Ingram does it in style before going into that Austin sunset as a Texas Longhorn. 6-time champion is Carthage. Time now for the DQ big play of the game, and Gunnar Capps had a lot of them as the offensive MVP, dropping a dime to D. Bowens. 4 catches, 135 yards. Bowens was in the knowings to be a major target in this one.
There is one spot you can put that football, and that is exactly where Gunnar Capps dropped it. He played a whale of a game and a very deserving offensive MVP, especially when you consider, Randy, that basically what we've been talking about, the fact that they had a passing game was what ended up making the difference in this entire ball game.
Yeah, and I thought the fact that he hit some big plays down the field early gave him a lot of confidence, and gave the receivers confidence that with the track speed that they have, they could get out there and run and know that he could throw the ball out there and they could outrun Kennedale to the football.
Yeah, and you look at Bowens, and he was a major target in this one. We talked about the receivers opening things up for Keontae. Keontae opened things up for D.
Yeah, they had a number of weapons out here, and Bowens was really the guy that caught fire deep, and they needed these plays. When you talk about having 4 catches for 135 yards, these are big plays, and a lot of them, that's a third down conversion, I believe, that early in the game, they pretty much squeezed the life out of Kennedale and said, we're going to be able to do whatever we want, and D. Bowens was very key in that, and then obviously off to the races. You're not going to catch him in open space.
Yeah, those deep balls, and here we see the bubble screen, and the mixture of the bubble screen and the deep ball from a trips formation, it really puts a lot of pressure on the defensive secondary on whether you're going to have a safety over the top to protect against the deep ball. And they just made calls and give Capps credit for reading the defense correctly, and he probably made some checks at the line of scrimmage.
And what about Gunnar Capps, who caps off the back-to-back run and doing it with Keontae Ingram going off in the sunset? It's not an easy thing when that guy's getting all the headlines, but Gunnar was fantastic in the MVP.
And the thing is, he struggled last week against Waco La Vega.
Yeah.
He struggled. He couldn't really get into a rhythm. I believe they turned the ball over 3 times, and he was not sharp. He would admit as much. But in this game on the big stage, he was razor sharp. 16 of 21, 365 yards and 3 touchdowns, a very deserving offensive MVP, and he made all the throws. Short, long, to the sideline, everything you needed. He was the perfect quarterback tonight.
Yeah, he certainly was, Greg, and I think, in this 6-time run that Scott Surratt has had, he's coached some good quarterbacks. I mean, Carthage has a nice tradition of quarterbacks. Now, this guy's a junior. He's going to be back next year. He's going to be the headline guy for Carthage offense next year. So pencil him in behind all them other guys that Scott's coached.
It's something to think about, too. This game, if it was played a decade ago, it would have been outside in the elements.
Yeah.
Which made it obviously a lot better for the quarterback, the perfect weather, the perfect atmosphere. But usually this level would have been way out in the middle of nowhere.
Well, and our desk would have been out in the middle of nowhere, too. So yeah. Let's hear it for indoor stadium.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, Rico, because you're talking about a team that does want to throw the ball deep, and obviously in the elements like you have right now, that may not be possible. So being indoors and on the fast track, on the turf, really helped that Carthage speed stand out.
Break time on Ford Championship Live. When we come back, we will celebrate another one of those crazy main event high-five nominees as a finalist for the Play of the Year. You don't want to miss it. It's coming up next on Fox Sports Southwest.
Over the middle and the touchdown. And Carthage strikes again. A 20-yard touchdown run. Say goodnight to it.